What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another Pokemon Rants. We're going even deeper into the woods as we continue to kick off 2024. And we dive right back in with what I know will be another great podcast with Andy from NorthwoodsTCG. Back in the mythical time of the 49.99 WotC booster boxes at your local Sam Goody, Andy was at the ripe age of 12 when he collided with the release of this new game called Pokemon. And thank goodness, too, because he was on a pretty dark path going down there with magic. And Andy was falling head first to jump right in with the TCG and everything that Pokemon had to offer. 23 years later, we fast forward, and he starts this journey then with his son, opening experiences, getting back into Pokemon, and of course, starting his YouTube journey that we all know him for. Effectively finding his path and weaving together the worlds of collecting, investing, business, TCG, and much more, Andy brings a wealth of experience and perspectives that's pretty hard to find under one man. So let's give Andy a warm welcome. Northwoods, welcome to Pokemon Rants, my friend.
Thank you for having me. Once again, great intro. I love your intros. Your intros are always really, really fun to listen to, that's for sure.
I try to make them as personal as I can, and yours was quite fun. I like to weave in the $49.99 booster boxes from Sam Goody. That was a nice little touch there. Yeah.
They weren't actually from Sam Goody. That's the funny thing. They were from Dunham's was the name of the company. It's actually next same mall, a little bit further down, but they were actually
it was so close.
Sporting goods with trading cards and sports cards. So
okay.
Yeah, they always had a big sale when they were cleaning them out after a year, and you could pick them up for like $50 or under $50 for a lot of the sets. It was always funny back then.
I love it, man. And getting into jungle, fossil, base, all for $50, cracking them with your friends, open them up to play TCG. Everybody puts in $5-10 a piece and go for it. Rip some packs.
It worked really well. I mean, a lot of us were into it. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of enjoyment, and that was the thing back then is that, who cares if they hit pavement? We used to play it on the playgrounds, in the school yard, right on the floor. Basketball court didn't make a difference.
Yeah. No sleeves, rocks and all, shuffle, just raw cards. Charizard first edition, just the full bend on the Charizard. Yeah, we know.
That's one thing I was looking. I never had first edition cards, so when I was there, it was always unlimited. I looked through my older cards, and I didn't have any first edition cards in my old collection. So so our area, they just probably didn't make it.
Yeah. Well, even if that was the case, your friends probably traded them off of you quite quickly, especially the one that had all the first edition and the binder that you spoke about in previous podcasts. So, yeah, he may have got them from you and you didn't even realize it.
He stole them from He just traded them all out when I wasn't looking. I need those.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch out the Charizard. You don't mind, right? No, it's okay. It's the same thing.
No, I like Alakazam. It don't make a difference.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, Andy, give us the intro, my friend. How did you get into it? Give us the background, and then we'll dive in.
Well, like you said, Pokemon came out when I was 12 years old. I actually started in TCGs around 96, 97, right in that range. I was actually with some friends, and we played Magic. So Magic was even fairly new at that point in time. So it was a lot of fun. We enjoyed, playing the TCGs. A lot of times we did it because, when we lived in Ladysmith, I actually drove like 20 miles to school. So I was waiting for my mom to get done with work to come pick us up. And then we would go and actually spend time at the local card shop. And he was actually a sports card shop, but he was proactive. He saw market potential for TCGs. He carried Magic right off the bat. First couple series of the Magic came out. And then he got Pokemon pretty quickly in the 1999. So it gave us a place that was like 3 blocks from the school. We would walk there, me and my buddies, and we would start playing there. And it was just a really, really convenient location for us as kids to go to and do that. So, and then since then, it just kind of kept morphing. I actually played tournament style. Like I kept some sealed product for a while because I always thought that they were cool boxes, and I always liked to keep one thing sealed for a long period of time. And I did. But basically, I was playing. I mean, my biggest thing is I played both Magic and Pokemon all the way up until about 2006. At that time, life kind of changed. I wanted to, I was getting out of college or going into college at that point. I was kind of between two of my different degrees in college, and I was starting to get serious in career path and everything else like that. And it's like I kind of had to make a choice that did I want to push career path or keep playing Pokemon and Magic on the side. And I ended up just calling it quits about then, sold all my stuff and kept my playing decks. I mean, that's what I really have in collection. So nothing that's really, I mean, everybody thinks collection. Well, you got all the stuff from that. It ain't worth very much. I mean, is anything. It's so beat up. It's not even worth, it's just my nostalgia more than anything on that point. So
memories. Yeah,
exactly. And then I went to work, like I said, just going down the rabbit hole, went to work for several years. And about 2019, because I remember it was Team Up actually came out and my son was old enough. We were leaving a store and they used to keep the blister packs. Now it's hard to believe for people that are new. They used to keep the blister packs right next to the checkout aisle. So that's why we call them check lane blisters. So you just grab them when you were going. He wanted to open some. We grabbed like 4 or 5 packs just for messing around. And we had a rainbow rare out of Team Up. And I was like, whoa, what has happened? Because when I left, it was level X. Those were the big cards.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you got a full art rainbow card in here, and it's like, whoa, things have really changed. And I got back into it. I really did enjoy it. And it was a point in my life where my son was getting old enough to where he was enjoying it. I could enjoy it a little bit more. I had more expendable money. I had already had my family. We were done having kids. I owned a house. Okay. We were, all settled in. I have a career that I'm running. And it was like, hey, I've got time. I've got expendable money. And we can get into it and start having some fun. So that's where we just kind of kept moving from there. And like you said, my son watching Leonhardt, and the only reason the channel's here is because literally we were watching Leonhardt and PokeRev through the early 2020s there, going into 2021. He went, they're so cool. I wish you could do something like that. And I went, you can just, get a camera and start doing it. It's not, let's do it. And I showed him that we could. And this started out as me showing my son that you can do anything that you want to do. If you want to do it, you can. And it's kind of just morphed into what it is today. I mean, he still plays Pokemon. He still plays tournaments, but, he's now pushing back. He wants to start opening stuff. So, which is where that TikTok avenue has been coming in. He's been getting the opportunity to get back to opening packs potentially. So he's excited to get back into it.
I love it. And it's funny how we all go into this adulthood and we're going to get our careers and be big boys and girls. And then when we get there, we're like, oh, well, that wasn't very much fun. Let me go back to Pokemon. Let's get back to the fun stuff.
I always laugh because in 2019 we were doing, when we were doing Pokemon and stuff, and you always did it like in the quiet. And that's what I always laugh. We were like closet Pokemon people, and then it became cool again. And it's like, I can actually say I'm playing Pokemon now, and nobody thinks that you're a nerd because you're doing it. They're actually like, whoa, you actually play and you actually collect? It's really cool to see the climate and the culture change that's really occurred in the last, 3-4 years when it even comes to Pokemon.
Well, and I think, funny enough, that every time I have a live, somebody calls us nerds anyway. So just apparently some people still think we're nerds, but that's okay. I don't mind. I'm a happy nerd. Exactly. I got to know, though, which rainbow card was it from Team Up that you pulled that got you back? What was the one?
I was trying to remember, and I was going to look it up, and I honestly don't remember. Jacob has it in his binder.
Because I should remember. The Blastoise and Piplup, was it?
It was not. No, that was
okay.
I think that was Cosmic Eclipse.
Yeah,
that's Cosmic Eclipse. That's what I was trying to remember. It's like I've pulled so many rainbow cards and stuff over since then. It's like I know if I look at the deck, I'll know which one it is immediately. I mean, it would take me 2 seconds to point it out, but it's like I was sitting here going, man, I should have looked it up. When I was saying that, I'm like,
you know what that one is.
Yeah.
No worries. All right. So then, keeping on the journey, let's go back just a little bit though. What is it you do for a living, and how did you get that adult money to be back into Pokemon? So tell us what do you do for a living?
So currently I am an HVAC technician. It's a family business. So I've been running that now for about 6 years again. Dad's been retiring. So I was out in Colorado for 5 years prior, and I actually have 2 degrees. I'm doing machine tooling. So I actually am in the machine tool, basically a lot of milling. I was a milling 5-axis high-speed milling processes and doing vacuum molds and injection molding systems. So if you ever, I don't know if I can say it, but if you ever, I don't want to get banned on YouTube for saying the pew pew word, but yeah, we made the
okay.
parts for Magpul, which is the big company. So all the Magpul parts for a lot of the pew pews, those were made by my company for the injection molding. Yeah. So we did a lot of those. Yeah, a little shot of PK, but it was a clean way of saying it. There, you don't get flagged for violations on YouTube.
We're past the 60-second mark. We're good.
We're good. Okay, we're clean. So, but yeah, anyways, that's I was doing the injection molding systems out there, so that's what we were doing a lot of before my dad called up and was like, you know, if you guys want the business, I need to know, because my brother and I were both kind of away. He was in Iowa and I was in Colorado. And he kind of went, well, he said, he was 60 at the time. He's like, I need to know if you guys are interested in this. If you want it, you need to make a decision if you want to come back here soon, because, you know, I'm going to be retiring and I need to know, do I need to start shutting it down and closing out, or do you guys want this thing and we can keep pushing, but I'm going to need you guys to start pushing if you want it. And my wife and I talked about it. It's like, we had our first kid at the point, and it's like, you know, we don't want to be in Colorado forever. It's way too far away from home. It's not familiar territory. It's not where we grew up. And we just said, you know, my son was only one of us was born in Colorado, which is kind of funny. So he's got a fun backstory for him, but Jacob. And then we moved back here when he was about a year and a half. And I started working at the HVAC business again. And I love HVAC work. I've done it since I was 8 years old, and I still continue to enjoy it today. It's just, I've realized that as I'm getting older, my body doesn't like the heavy abuse as much.
Yeah, but getting up, carrying heavy things, small crawl spaces, those things get tough really fast, really fast.
You know, heavy furnaces, lifting them, boilers all the time, water heaters, and up and down stairs and ladders all day. You know, I'm getting to the point where I want to do more service, and my brother's looking at taking more of the install. So we are kind of shifting a little bit, because he's 8 years. He's 8 years younger than me. Yeah, he just turned 30, so he can take that abuse a little bit longer than I can.
He's got 10 more years, and you can move back into the back end office.
Yeah, well, I can't do that, but I'll probably be doing more service work and finding jobs and bidding things. So.
But you also run a farm. I heard you say at one point in time, and we mentioned it in the pre-call. So tell us a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, and that's the other part, that being in northern Wisconsin, you have to be multifaceted, of course. And so we actually have two farms. My dad built a farm. We have a beef operation that has about 180 cattle usually, typically. We always are doing stuff for that. And then on top of it, my wife and I actually own a small farm too. As part of that, we kind of just inside of it. But she does a lot of like farmers market stuff. So we have a rather large garden. We have chickens. We're working on getting some more registered cattle, some better cattle. So it's my brother really runs the one big farm. That's kind of his thing. I run the HVAC business, and then my wife and I have the small farm built into that too, for tax write-off purposes, of course. Of course. You got to be smart about this.
That's right. We got Terry in the chat. At least we did for a little while there. So,
yeah, speaking of, make money as a farmer.
It's all for tax write-off. The government will get you if you try to make actual profits. Exactly. Let's see. We definitely have a few things to shout out here. So going back, I can't catch it all, but whoops. We definitely had iFOMO in here early as usual. So iFOMO, it's always great to see you. I was watching a lot of, ironically, Andy's old videos, and iFOMO was in almost all of them. He's been back with you for a long, he's been back there for a long time. So lots of love and support from iFOMO. We had Terry in here, as I mentioned. Yeah, he's been with us for a while. It's us from the beginning. He's been with you for even longer. So it was good to see that. We got Terry in here. We got Chef. Good to see you guys. We had Rob stop in as well. I think Rob's still here. So Rob from Red and Blue. By the way, Rob will be on for next week. So definitely make sure you check that out, Rob. I hope you feel better, my friend. We got Marshall. I saw Rob drop 5 gifted. Rob, thank you, sir. Much appreciated. You didn't have to do that. Really appreciate that, sir. Really do. We got Mr. Walrus in the chat. Walrus, I will write your eulogy. Don't worry. Whenever you're ready, let me know. We'll do it together. We got Cheval's in here. We got some rock stars. Ryan's here as well. So thanks everybody for joining. Really appreciate it. We hope you enjoy the chat. And as usual, we'll be trying to work in the questions and the points as we go through the conversation. So feel free to redrop anything if we missed it, and we'll weave it in accordingly.
I
So
will put a shout out too to.
Yeah, please.
I was gonna say I'll put a shout out to Felipe too because I see he's here.
I miss it.
Yeah, Felipe's here. He's been one of my channel's longest followers too. He's been there.
I love it.
I think since I had like 100 subs, 125 subs.
Oh, I see him
him
now.
and iFOMO. Yep, iFOMO, and yeah, that's cool to see them just always being around and always being involved. It's greatly appreciated from both of them.
Yeah, and Felipe will be here, I think, the week after Rob. So we'll have Felipe on the channel too. So it'll be a lot of fun. We got a lot of great people lined up. So really excited for the 2024. It's gonna be a lot of good times, good conversations. No, I wasn't pew-pewing anybody directly. I'm not sure where where that came from. Walrus, lots of love for you. I know we joke and kid a lot. As long as you let me leave my shirt on this live, I think we're all good. I'll keep the pew-pews in a general directions. But good to see you guys. Good to see you. So as we jump from childhood to school, education, double major sounds like, running 2 businesses, and got back into Pokemon. Of course, started a family. It's only 1 child though, right?
I have 3.
Just the one, 3. Okay. Oh, that's right. You made the comment the other day about having to fight for packs. That's right. I remember now. What's the ages on them, if you don't mind? Of course,
Jacob is almost 9. He'll be 9 here in another month. Yeah. And then Abby, which is my daughter, she is 6, and then my son Matthew, and he's 4.
Okay, so. All right, a nice little stagger there. I'm at 9 and 5 myself, so I only got the 2 though. So I'm good for now. I'm good. But yeah, I remember you comment about fighting for packs. Yeah, because if the kids don't like Pokemon, we don't have anything else to give them for Christmas because that's all the inventory we have.
It's everything that's sitting around.
Say, Dad, is this another booster box? Yes, it is. You're gonna open it. You're gonna like it, son.
You're gonna love it.
But looking at the details of you getting back in, and you can also correct me where I'm wrong. You were actually at one point speaking about Hidden Fates is actually what pulled you back in. And then shortly thereafter, Cosmic Eclipse really grabbed you. You kind of mentioned that already. And then that became one of your favorite sets of Sun and Moon. You mentioned your son Jacob really getting into it, wanting to open packs, which is then what launched the whole YouTube kind of career, if you will. Was there something else that sparked you to get back in? Did that real nostalgia kind of happen for you as well, or was it more just for your son, and then you kind of slowly took over as this kind of shifted?
It was so, like I said, I really loved Hidden Fates. Hidden Fates was a really fun set to open. It was a really cool set. The baby shinies, everything really, really just finally sunk everything in for me. Cosmic Eclipse is my favorite set out of Sun and Moon era. And once again, just the hits, the amount of things in there, and that they have such clean, nice art, tag teams, the trainers, everything in it is a very clean set. Plus the alternate arts are involved. I mean, it's just a goated set in general. But the first set that we really did is, like I said, team up. We opened the blister packs, and then my actual first battle deck that I actually started playing with again. So I didn't get right back into collecting right away. I started to get more into the investing and keeping stuff back for things I thought would potentially be valuable around that Hidden Fates, right when Hidden Fates was released. And started moving forward and keeping things back. But before that, I was just back into playing because that's what I knew. That's what I did, was play. And then, like I said, you adult, and then you start looking at things a little bit differently. And it's like, this stuff's fun to play, but overall, you see the demand. Like I said in other videos, ETBs of Hidden Fates was impossible to find. Anybody that was in that market at that time, Hidden Fates ETBs never existed on shelves in stores very long. You might catch one, but realistically, Raichu boxes were the best thing in the world. We opened a ton of Raichu boxes, and when you actually got ETBs, you almost kept them and saved them. I mean, actually, the one, I don't know if it's up here. I might have moved it. It's over there. The one of the Hidden Fates boxes we actually grabbed, I still have, and it's on the shelf over here. You can't see it on the side. But I actually have one of the first ones, ETBs we found on the shelf. I actually still have that one. So that's where I was just
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so that was one of the sets that finally just kind of said, okay, I'm going to start holding some of this back. And I told my wife, I've got all this, I always fill out my retirement fund at the end before the first quarter, second quarter of the year. I pretty much put in my max amount through the business for our retirement funds. That's part of the deal with the businesses. We get our max amount for the retirement funds, and 401ks. That's all taken care of. And I was like, I've got this extra money that I've been putting away for a rainy day or whatever. It's been in the savings account. That's almost at 10 grand. I said, I'm going to take $4,000 of this and I'm going to let her ride on Pokemon. Let's see what I can do with $4,000 in Pokemon and see where this goes. I said,
what was her response?
She kind of looked at me with a dumbfounded look, like, "Are you insane?" And but once again, you're here. Yeah, come a little closer. And like I said, I always laugh because you hear everybody. I've listened to your channel. I think everyone that has a spouse that that has been on this channel says that they've been very supportive, and she was. I mean, she gave me the cross-eyed dog, a high-pitched sound look, but she went, she said, do what you want. She said, it's you work your butt off for it anyways. So she said, it's just sitting there in a savings account and it's losing money anyways. So you might as well have some fun. I said, hey, worst case scenario is the kids and I will have a heck of a time just ripping packs. I said, It'll be the funnest time ever when we're ripping through $4,000 worth of Pokemon packs. But then
exactly right. We've got Ryan there. 4,000 investment on cardboard crack. Exactly. Just gotta see what's gonna happen.
Just gotta see what's let her ride. Like I said, it's just like I didn't know that the boom was gonna happen. And had I done that, I always laugh because I even was talking about black and white at one point, and I was just like, my point was I was gonna start doing like collecting, go back to like black and white and start working my way forward, and then then start working backwards from black and white because it was starting to get a little bit more pricey. But you could have bought every black and white booster box at the time for like $2,200. All 12, or 11 sets of black and white you could have bought for just a $2,000. And it's like, I was going to work to getting that and then keep working up through XY and all that other stuff. And then all of a sudden I said, that's what I've talked to Dan even. I wish I had more time to build an inventory before 2020 happened. That November or October of 2020, because I wasn't moving fast. There was no rush. I was just taking my time, picking and choosing, getting the stuff that I thought would be cool, things I thought would be valuable in the future. Yeah. It was a normal market. You were just kind of playing it out, watching, seeing what was working, see where interest was, and you were kind of just following that train. And it just never. I didn't have very much when 2020 hit. I had enough. I mean, it helped. It was a big boost, but to get me started and then hold and wait until the end of 2021, it gave me a good little nest egg of where I did really well. But like I said, you can never know what the future is going to hold, and that's what you try and tell people even on the investment side of Pokemon. We could sit here and think that things are going to shoot, but in the double-edged sword of life, it could also drop like a stone and lose all interest. So, and it's always something to keep in the back of your mind, and that's what we always try and talk about: is be expendable, be liquid, and understand issues that are going to occur.
Fully agree. Yeah, exactly, Walrus. We're already into retirement talk from 401ks. You're off for a bad start, buddy. Off for a bad start. Good to see you, Boondock. Yeah, fully agree there, Felipe. They are a blessing, and I've said it many times, but love my wife's not watching, so don't worry. She probably won't watch. She got tired of watching on the podcast. She's like, this is too much. She watched the first couple, and she's like, yeah, I'm done.
I think my wife made 4 videos, and she's like, nope, I'm done.
I don't know what you guys are even talking about. Like, it doesn't even make any sense to me. It's okay, sweetheart. It's all right. I appreciate the thought. But so that got you in. You had a decent amount of inventory. The boom started. Did you start selling off right away just to kind of equalize on that profit and seize the moment? Or did you say, you know what, I'm just going to keep buying a little bit where it's a good price and you hold on to what I had? What was your kind of strategy that early on?
When it spiked, it's super high. I didn't start selling until about November, but I kept specific things that I really enjoyed. So like that Hidden Fates ETB, there was some Pikachu cards that Jacob liked, and specific things that I just felt like I were nice for my collection pieces. I kept those back, but really I cleaned everything out. By December of that year, I didn't have hardly anything left again. I had completely emptied out, because my thought process was that when it was shooting up and going up like crazy, I was going to sell because, once again, historically speaking and mind thinking of adulting, you sit there and realize that when markets do this, they don't last forever. So of course, my thought process is that if I sell everything out today, chances are in 6 months I'll probably be able to buy it all back and then make the money on top of it, and I'm still going to be right where I was. Worst case scenario is that it never comes down. I still made good money and it continues to move on, and I still made the capital and made the return on my investment in a year that I was looking for by huge margins. It's not even close to what I was thinking it would be. So once again, it was a win-win in my opinion. I mean, you were either I was going to cash out and make bank anyways on what I had into it, or it was going to drop and I could go back and buy anything I wanted back in 6 months to a year.
And here we are.
And here we are. A whole room full of
Yep. Don't, as PK often says, you don't want to see what's off camera here. It's not pretty. The further back you get from the camera, the worse it looks.
It just gets worse and worse. I try and keep this view, fairly good and clean. Don't go over here and don't go outside my room, out of my studio here. Don't go that way.
It's not too bad. I joke and kid a little bit, but yeah, it's not great. I can do better for sure.
Oh,
hey Quilly, good to have you. Good to have you. No, you're not too late. We're just getting started, so you're right on time. Another shout out here, SDC. I've done a lot of research over the past 6-8 months on different people's channels and videos. I've seen you back on like 3, 4, 5-year-old videos, and you were commenting back then with the same icon, the same name. Mm-hmm. So shout out, man. You've been there for a long time. Great supporter of many, many different people. So appreciate you hanging around. Thanks for stopping by. After I saw his name, I was like, man, he's here too. I was looking at somebody who was like a 4 or 5-year-old video. I'm like, Jesus, he was back here commenting. This is awesome. I love it. Rock stars, man. Rock stars. One of the things that I did see, going back more to your collection side of things, is you were speaking to the fact that you still have some of your childhood binder, and you held up a Flareon card recently, if I'm not mistaken. Again, forgive me if I mixed the videos. And it was like a 6.5 or a 7. It was, but it was your childhood card. Is that it? Exactly. Yep. Exactly. That's the one.
That was my Dark Flareon from Team Rocket. Yep.
So are you still grading some things? You still have a few gems in there that you're trying to slowly move through, that you're not in a rush because it's more for PC, or
this one I did
got
because
all the good ones out.
This is really, there weren't very many good ones. All the good ones have been gone through. Even this one, I was just taking a shot because I've been trying to get all my graded, like Flareon's all in a graded form at least. Eventually, I want to get everything in PSA is kind of my ultimate goal, but it was just one of those things that I was sending some grading stuff out. I went through my binder, and this one was in okay shape because I actually had 2 of them. The other one is not in good shape, but this one was okay. So I said, why not take the chance and see what it gets, just to get it into a slab so that I could have it for the displayability factor of it. So that one got sent, and then someone was nice enough during Professor Oak's Secret Santa to send me a better copy.
The other one, a better.
Yep.
So you kind of switch out yours and put it in the box and put the good one.
Well, I said it partially. I'm happy I got a 9. It's kind of cool to see the upgrade on it, but on the other hand, it's like this one has kind of always just been one of those little nostalgic pieces that even though I got a better grade, it's still gonna stay with me just because it's my personal card, so it's not leaving.
Yeah, I'll give you $1 for it. All right, 150. We'll call it even.
Yeah, 150.
Yeah. We got Beerski dropping in. Good to see you, Beerski. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. Appreciate you hanging out with us.
Everybody dropping in.
Yeah, I love it. I saw something funny from Walrus. I wanted to bring it up. Legend has it SDC is a timekeeper of the hobby. That's right.
You're right. I have seen him on older videos on people that have been, and he's been around forever. And
maybe he's the bot from Google. I don't know, man. I don't know.
He could be. He was on my. He's another one. He was on my channel. He must have been within the first 200. Yeah, really? First 200 subs. It's just funny the people that hang around, and you can tell the real true people have been in the hobby and really enjoy the hobby because it's like they jump into channels really early and they're just they become just constant figures of it, which is cool.
Exactly. Yep. And back to the point we were making right before we started. It's what helps keeps us going. You know, you have those moments. You're like, I don't know if this whole thing's working out. It's the YouTube thing. I probably stop making videos pretty soon. And you just get so much love and support from everybody. It just really changes your perspective.
It does. It just gives you that extra drive to just come back and continue to do it. And like I said, I know
keep pushing.
You could tell in my videos, I was kind of laughing looking back at my videos before I got sick there for a month. I was like, man, I was getting pretty darn negative on some of the stuff. I mean, I was just like, must have been to a point where I was just like, I'm just stressed or whatever was going on, or maybe I was already I didn't know. It's like, wow, some of these videos I was just being, typically I try and sugarcoat things a little. It makes things sound good and give usually I give like a two-sided perspective. I try and always give the positives and the negatives of things. And I was just absolutely negative on everything. And I'm like, maybe it was being a little bit rough.
YouTube will suck you in, man. Be careful. It'll suck you in.
It will. I would say actually getting sick for that month was probably a good timing just to have a good refresh and, get a new perspective and really just kind of look things over.
Yeah, fully agree. Glad you're back on the positive side with us, my friend. So I got to know, what made you, though, a Flareon collector? What's the story with that one? Because I've always wanted to know. I couldn't find it.
It's always just been a really cool Pokemon to me. I don't know. The thing is that I think part of
was it in a deck? One of your decks?
It wasn't in a deck until 2006 because my last deck was a Flareon Jolteon deck. So it was actually a multi-deck at that point. So that was my last deck that I actually used, was a Flareon Jolteon deck. But no, I didn't use it early on. I used Charizard. I mean, I was not Charizard. I was doing my first deck was a Gyarados Alakazam deck. And then I kind of graduated when Fossil came out. I went to a Zapdos deck with Jungle. And when Fossil came out, I was running a Zapdos deck for a long time. I remember, I think I was doing Electrode, Zapdos, and Electrode for a while, and then there was another. I'm trying to remember, it was a different combination. Yeah. Voltorb, yeah, that's what it was. Voltorb. I had a Voltorb and a Zapdos deck running for a while. So then I kind of graduated, and they kind of change and they morph as they go through time. I know I had a Lugia deck for a while there too. But no, early I never really had a Flareon deck all that. Until late in 06 when it actually became a decent deck. But I've just always enjoyed Flareon. I don't know. It's just the art, the character itself. Yeah, it was one of them things, when it came to evolutions, it was one of the ones that gravitated to me, and I've just always kind of stuck to it. I've always enjoyed Flareon. Even the cards that I have in my binder is a lot of Flareon. So it was early on. It's not like it was something that, like this, Dark Flareons. I had a couple of those. I have a couple jungle ones. I mean, I got a couple. It's always 2 or 3 of each. So it's like I've been the heaviest in Flareons for a long time too. So it hasn't been like something that grew on me. It happened pretty early on.
I must say one of the best looking ones was the one as it actually did the evolution in Detective Pikachu. Man, that Flareon looked mean. Yeah, I was like, ooh,
it did.
Looks good. Yeah, I like that one.
There's always a lot of really good actually, my favorite one is the Delta Species one. I always have been drawn to the artwork of the Delta Species one.
I have that one. Actually, that's one of the few I kept. I like that one a lot. Yeah.
I really like the artwork of the Delta Species. That's probably one of my favorite.
I like the hollow pattern of the Delta Species, though. That hollow pattern on the borders, that kind of nice silver shine to the whole card. It's a beauty. It's a beauty. Nice pickup. Well, other than the Flareon, did you have any other kind of like top pieces in your collection that you would kind of hold up to the top right next to Flareon or perhaps slightly below?
Other ones that I have is I have some Mewtwo's. I do have a first edition PSA 10 Mewtwo older set, one on that. Got a couple other Mewtwo's that I've got laying around. That's the other collection I said I'd probably always do. Is probably the second one would be going to that and going with that. I mean, Mewtwo has always been a real draw, but who hasn't? That's where you wonder why people are drawn to it. It's like he's a bad.
It's awesome, man. He's awesome.
I mean, he's awesome.
When the first movie call me cliche out, if you want, but it's awesome, dude. I love a Mewtwo. We were actually just playing the Smash Brothers on Switch.
Yep.
We finally got the Mewtwo. I was like, yes.
Oh, you did get it.
Pikachu. Yeah. And it was, oh man, it's good. It's really good. Yeah. Any of you Smash Bros fan out there, let us know. We were killing it here at the house in the holidays. We loved it. Good times.
My son's been playing Smash Brothers. I know he's been trying to get the Mewtwo. He's been working at getting that. So I haven't stepped in yet to try, but
a little trick, because I didn't realize it, and anybody in the chat can tell me if I'm wrong here, but I kept telling my kids, like, it's okay if you didn't beat it the first time. It'll come back up again. You can try again. That was my logical thought process. But we played, and we played, and we played, and nothing came up. I was like, wait a minute. Let Dad look on the internet here. So I got on the internet and checked it out. You actually need to go back up to the main menu, go to a different section, and go to rematches. And then if you go to the rematches, then you can just fight all the characters that you lost to. And you keep playing them until you win. Yeah, so if you don't know it, I'll give you a little bit of a link, and that way, if he's missing the Mewtwo or any other characters he wants, that's the way to get it. What's up, Zach? Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for stopping in, man.
Yeah, I know. I saw it too. Walrus always has the best.
I love it. I love it. He keeps the chat so lively. He does.
Oh, he does.
Shout out to Walrus. He's got to
keep it interesting the whole way through.
I love it too. Keeping this one going. Your son, around April of 2022, he was 7. Now you mentioned he's 9, which is what I was estimating before you mentioned his age. And you mentioned he was opening with you, but was he playing? Is he collecting as well? How does your son kind of engage in the hobby? Give us a little bit of background there.
So he originally was just opening packs. He was collecting, and he was specifically going for Pikachu, which is, very much a young kid's thing. And he might continue. He actually really does enjoy Pikachu. But currently his big activities, we still open packs. We still do a lot of stuff off the camera. Not everything is done on camera. We still have fun enjoying packs and things, but he's also been working on building decks. He loves going to pre-release tournaments. He's actually excited that there's another one coming up here in March. Nice. We'll be having another pre-release, so he's really excited to get in on that. Asking me already when if they have a time set up and everything. It's like, dude, they don't even have all the stuff figured out yet. I know it's right around March, but man, I don't know. We haven't even got we're waiting for Paldea and Fates to be released here in a week or two. Exactly. I said, they haven't even done, they just announced the set today, I think. First day I've seen all the stuff posted all over.
Yeah, that was late yesterday, something like that. Yeah, I saw it this morning. Yeah, I was jumping all over
the place. Yeah. But yeah, I was just I told him he really does get engaged in the tournament play too. He enjoys it.
That's good.
First he's a little bit shy. He was a little bit timid about it. Not now that he's done a couple. I made him finally do a pre-release tournament. I thought because he was coming to tournaments and watching, and he was getting involved that way, just watching. But he wouldn't actually play. He wouldn't get it. Yeah, he'd watch me play, and he'd come and socialize with people and open packs and stuff at the LCS in town. And, finally we went to a pre-release tournament for Obsidian Flame. And I said, dude, I'm done having you hang over my shoulder. Here, I bought you one. You're going to play it. I said, this is the only way that I know you're going to break this ice and actually get into it. It's just give him the packs. The first one, we helped him out, and then we went back for Paradox Room for the next one. And I was like, so you want me to help you? Nope. He went and took his box, and he went away from me. He wouldn't even buy me. And went and started building his battle deck and doing his thing. Yeah, he was doing his own thing. And I'm like, this is good. This is exactly what I was hoping he would get to.
Yeah.
So
good for him. Congrats. And so he's building his decks. He's playing. He's looking for the next pre-release, and he'll probably start playing in some tournaments. Get a few points. Go play in the regionals. It's fun. That's what's next.
I told him there's an opportunity. I mean, our LCS is actually a points place, so you can go and join the Cup Series and everything that they have there. So it's definitely an opportunity.
I love it. I love to hear it. What about his collection? Does he also collect, or he just opens packs and builds decks? Or
he collects. His big collection right now is he's been really working towards different Charizards and Pikachus. He's been into Aerodactyl. He really likes Aerodactyl too. So
I like it.
He's been picking up a lot of those. We have a local trade night, and he's been trading to kind of build up his Aerodactyl collection too. So maybe he'll be an Aerodactyl fan.
As long as he doesn't take Dad's Flareons, but it'll be good, right?
Yeah, as long as we're not fighting. Yeah, I come in, all my Flareons are gone. Hey, it's not gonna work.
We got a problem here, buddy. We got a problem. Have a seat. Let's talk.
Have a seat. We gotta talk.
Sorry, I missed that one, Ryan. This is for you, Andy.
Yes.
You see it there? I put it up on screen.
Do I have any plushies or mini figurines? I have a couple plushies are upstairs, and I do have one mini figurine. I got a Lego figurine too. So I was gonna try and put them in here some point in time. So because I was gonna say I was actually gonna extend the shelves across where that poster is right now and fill that all in, and then I'd have a little more space.
Yeah, you need us to wrap the whole surrounding here with product, and then we'll be good to go.
Yeah, exactly. Just keep wrapping around. I did sneak in some of my old Halo stuff, so I mean, I did good there.
I saw that. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that later because that's actually one of my favorites on the 360. Yeah, that was classic, man. That was good times. I lost a lot of long nights and called out of work sick the next day on that one.
Yeah, I missed a couple days of school because of Halo 3 release.
Yeah, it was a fun time, but man, I was doing too many other partying. That's for sure. We'll leave that for a separate podcast. But one of the things that I've noticed as I had this experience with my kids, and I'm sure you're the same, so I'm curious what you've done and how you think about it, or if you've even given it some thought. But the amount of cards that we have moving through our home, the boxes, the packs, the orders, everything, the podcasts and YouTube space, our kids get a little bit desensitized to what it really means. Because if you can remember when it was like open that first few packs, it was magical. And now they get a booster box and they rip through it in like 10 minutes. They have a big stack of cards and they only hold like 2 in their hands. Like, yeah, the rest of them's garbage. And that's really it. Yeah, exactly. Here, Dad, you can have these. I appreciate it because I need the inventory for TCG Player, but still, it's a bit of a desensitization on how they view Pokemon. Have you tried to balance that in any shape or form and try to limit, keep a sense of, liveliness and value there for them? How have you managed that?
I have. Typically, I hear of like people saying that they give their kids booster boxes. I have never given my kids that many cards at one time. Jacob tends to be a little bit more, just because if he's using them for playing, I tend to allow him to do a little bit more. So when you talk about the desensitization, that's exactly why I have it. Exactly, let him just go free on things. So basically, I just like to do a few packs. So like for Christmas, each one of them got 1 pack in their stocking. They didn't even actually get any other things than that for Christmas. So, you always think that because we got a ton of inventory and stuff that they're going to get a bunch of stuff. But I've always been concerned about that because, like anything, it's fun, it's interesting. It's when you're, opening them, sometimes they're always really fun and interesting for kids. But when you put it in front of them all the time, and it just becomes like they're just able to go pick something up. They just lose interest eventually. So, basically, it's just a lot of just keeping it, marginalized so they're not just completely buried in it. They see me send booster boxes out, like Jacob always sees me send booster boxes out, and he's always curious what I'm sending, and do we have any more of that we could potentially open? Especially if it's a set that he's looking for a playable card out of, he's like, "Can we open that?" No, we can't.
We can buy the cards then.
Yeah, we can buy the cards cheaper. I can tell you that right now. Or just like this, you do TikTok rip and chips, and then I get the cards through there too for the playability. So, except for the hits, but I can always buy hit cards fairly reasonable for battle decks. But yeah, overall, I try not to just let them go hog wild on it. We used to do even ETBs, like when a set release comes out, Pokemon 151, we did an ETB, and then we did, each one of them got one of the tins, so we did a few tins for them, so they each got a few packs there. When sets releases, we'll do a few extra on those, just because then it's a special occasion, because it's a new release, it's a new set, time to see the new cards and what kind of hits we can get. But yeah, I don't let them just go hog wild. They don't get a limited supply of Pokemon cards to just rip and open up, because that's exactly what happened. Is, to me, you have to, even like I say in other things, we have to kind of nurture that next generation, and just letting kids go hog wild on things is just too much is never a good thing at the end of the day. It actually hampers the overall progress. So if they want something and they got to work for it, they're more likely to keep him in interest in it than just having it available to them all the time.
Couldn't agree more. We were, funny story, we were doing some back-to-back openings, As you mentioned it, because I actually have a similar strategy in that when a new set comes out, we'll typically get an ETB and we'll open them, each as a family. Just kind of get an experience of the new set, get to kind of check out different decks or sleeves that is, and all the different cards. But the sets come out like every couple of months, and so like you're pretty much opening ETB every couple of months, and then of course something in between, because we do Pokemon Fridays is what we end up doing. So the kids do good in school, they do good grades, then we go out and we like open a pack or two, and then we sit down and have a dinner and have a good time. But we were going through the holidays, and we got back to the beginning of the year. And we were just opening like 1 or 2 packs. And my son looks at me and he goes, Dad, got real serious. Dad, are we poor now?
Pokemon economy's been rough.
So, son, no, we're not poor, so to speak, but we just need to limit what we're opening and what we're buying. Oh, okay, Dad. Like, oh, Jesus. We're in trouble.
Getting my grocery bill with these kids. Yeah, I'm getting poor quick.
Exactly.
Jeez.
We got one here from Quilly. If you had $4,000 to start today, what would you do? Would you go on a similar path or something different from your original start?
I've thought about this question because I really have been interested if I would do anything different. And to be honest with you, for my goals, I guess, and that's where I always talk about goal setting too. It really depends on your goals as a person. For me, in general, I probably wouldn't change very much of the direction I went at that point in time. Buying a lot of sealed product to me, and especially if you're new in the hobby, with the knowledge I have now, if you were to include that into it, then I would probably diversify quicker than what I did. A lot of times it was just trying to build inventory, and realistically, $4,000 doesn't buy you as much inventory as you really think it does. It's a drop in the bucket, and it would take a lot longer to do what I did just because of the fact that I got lucky with a Black Swan event. But overall, I don't think I would change much. I mean, even now, a lot of my philosophy is still basically based on trying to maintain, turning a little bit, always buying a little bit extra. So if I'm looking at, I always try and keep a zero cost basis for my investment side. That's always kind of my goal, or keep that cost basis as small as possible. So I will overbuy what I actually want. So I'll try and find something at the low. So like now, buying Paldea Evolve, buying Paradox Rift, I want to keep a case or 2 back. I'll buy 6 because my thought process is that it doesn't have to move up a ton at that point to be able to sell the other 4 cases off and be able to get rid of that cost basis, take that money and go do something else. I mean, I always try and stay liquid, but I'm always trying to build that portfolio. And that's kind of, even my channel, it's what's always kind of been based on, is just trying to keep liquid with your money. The more money you just have sitting around, the less value it technically has. And that's exactly the same philosophy. Even if I was doing it today, I would still be buying like cases of booster boxes, probably not cases, but maybe even individual booster boxes, and buying 5 or 6, intending to keep 2, and just continue to use that philosophy because, Paradox Rift, all these ones are at like $70 right now, $70 to $80. But even looking at the past of any set, even Sun and Moon, they don't stay down that far for very long. They usually go up. Within a year, they'll be back up to around $100, typically 100, 115. And then that's the opportunity where I could clean out. And, you got a year, maybe a year and a half sitting on them, but then you'll clean them out to be able to take that somewhere else. So my philosophy probably wouldn't change very much. I'd probably still start the same way because sealed is, very forgiving comparatively to like raw and, even graded cards. Because a raw card could be fantastic. We see it in the market all the time. Card could be great today. You could sit there and buy one, and it can drop out right away in next day. We've seen cards go from being $80 cards today and being $30 cards tomorrow, and there's really nothing you can do except for hopefully wait, and sometimes those cards just never get interest again. So then you're just out. While sealed always has, the tendency to be always moving upwards after it hits its low point. It always hits a low point, and then eventually it starts to just kind of creep up. So there's always an opportunity to wait it out. You can always wait out the bad decisions almost in sealed. That doesn't always pan out in raw cards or graded cards. They may never come back up. And there's some cards that have never come back up.
Sounds like you've been burned a few times there, Andy. I can feel it. I can feel it in your
I hate sealed. I hate singles. I absolutely hate singles. I do it. I mean, that's where the margins are sometimes doing it, even getting singles graded and stuff. But, out of all of it, tough. I still like sealed product. It's still, to me, for putting on the shelf and forgetting. Yeah. It's cleaner. Yeah. It's easier. Yeah. I mean, there's less margin for error. It's really
less time spent.
Less time spent. I don't have to sit there and watch every market and every sales place to try and get that best price and hope it goes up. I mean, it's just, like you said, it's just a simpler platform to go with the sealed. And when you're starting, definitely I would suggest most people go sealed unless you have a lot of time to put into research and really get familiar with what people are looking for, trends, what people will, even playability. Playability can be a huge factor to the success of a single. I mean, if it's not playable, it can drop extremely fast. It may not be playable at first, but if you know the TCG and you play the TCG, you could say there's a 50-50 chance this card will become playable in the next, 2 sets. And then they do. And that's where you can make that margins. That's where you can do that kind of stuff.
But to be clear, the playability doesn't apply as much to the booster boxes or sealed products. So
no,
more of a single card. Yeah.
Yep, singles. I'm talking singles market. If you're buying singles, that's why I like it's a little bit more research on that factor.
Yeah. Changing it up very drastically to the opposite end of the spectrum. Walrus, I wonder if it still counts if you beat your kids with a box of booster, Pokemon cards. I think that's okay, right? That counts as like a gift and punishment all at the same time. It works out well. Exactly, Chef. And I think you even made the comment in one of your lives with Beerski, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But the one who builds the decks, those are the creme de la creme. That's it, right? So his son has evolved and he turned into the Flareon himself. So moving right along, one of the things that I actually heard you say, but you didn't touch on it too much. And I was curious if there was something there, so I wanted to scratch the itch to see if there was. It was, I think it was the discussion with Alex and Nostalgianomics that you had about a year and a half ago. And in that, you were talking about the number of cards you were selling on TCG Player and just the raw that you were moving through. And he says, well, you must be opening up a decent amount of product to get that many, bulk. And you said, yeah, I opened up probably more than I should. I enjoy opening products. Do you still find yourself in that position? And you even mentioned at the time that you had to move some products out of your view. Because you might say, hey, one day I just want to rip up on a case of Evolving Skies. And that was the reference at the time. But
I still do that. I mean, the more and more I get into it, the more stable I become in it. I mean, you just start to separate things out enough. I mean, I can keep Evolving Skies in my room now, and I'm not going to go rip it open just because the value is way too high.
Okay. All right.
Thought process come in, but like Evolving Skies is always a fun set when it came out, and I knew that set was going to be very valuable when I bought into that one, just because it was a goated set from the beginning. I mean, you look at what was in it, and you could tell almost immediately, and then the craze for EV Heroes in Japan kind of set the benchmark for it also on where the potentials were in that set. Whether or not they'd come to tuition or one thing or another, or when it would be one thing or another, but it did really quickly. Overall, I've really done really well at compartmentalized, and I've even done videos where I talk about I put stuff in totes. If I want to keep it safe and I don't want to open it, it's strictly an investment thing. I do get it out of my viewing, out of my site. I have my office is down at the shop has got a storage unit or a storage area, and it's temperature controlled, it's heated, it's got a mini split on it, so it's meant for being office, but we've just never used it as a conference room like it's supposed to be. So I use it as storage for my Pokemon stuff because I can set the temperature in there and it keeps it all safe, so it don't turn in Wisconsin where it can -30 one day, and in the summer it goes up to 90 with 100% humidity, so it'd be a disaster for cards.
Cards looking like that.
And I've really slowed down the last 2 years too of opening things because it's fun to open. Once again, I'm not doing the openings on the channel anymore for myself, where it's just my own openings and things like that. So that's kind of changed that dynamic also. The openings I do are basically for other people. And so I do get a lot of bulk from that also. And that's a big factor also. You're getting it there. I do buy collections now. So when I'm trying to bolster that bulk amount and grow, my stack of bulk over here, I was buying collections with the intent that people don't go through bulk. They don't understand playability. I was looking for people with Fusion Strike bulk for a long time because they were throwing them judge cards away, and you could buy the whole stack of 1,000 cards for like $10, and you'd get 6 or 8, 10 judge cards in there. Well, I made $25 on just that card, and that's not all the other playable cards that were sitting around there, like Escape Rope and all
Battle
those.
Pass, I think, was in there.
Yeah,
as well.
VIP Battle Pass was in that set too.
Yeah.
I mean, there was there's 3 cards that were very valuable in there, and that's where that bulk comes in, and that's where you can actually build a decent business on bulk. Yeah, it's a grind, I get it, but it's also can be pretty lucrative when you look at the cost basis to doing it. It's just time more than anything when it comes down to your profitability. So I don't open as much anymore personally. We do still open stuff. I still have bulk coming for my kids and stuff, especially Jacob with building decks and having fun testing out the new sets. But I don't open too much anymore. It's just I've become even more jaded to it because even when I started investing, it was still fun. I was still enjoying the opening of it. I still do enjoy opening it, but you start to realize really quick that when when I'm building my battle decks and things like that, it's just not worth trying to pull those cards. There's just no reason to be doing it.
Yeah, it sounds like I was gonna say as you were talking about being desensitized yourself. I was like, yeah, you turned into Dan. Dan the robot.
I got 20 spreadsheets now. Thanks, Dan. I'm turning into you, spreadsheet man.
I'm a robot. I just pump out cards all day long. I don't even enjoy it anymore. Thanks a lot, Dan. Appreciate it. Yeah. Converted another one. Yes. Thanks for stopping by, Rob. Yes. Good to see you, Rob. Thanks for stopping by, man. We'll catch you next week, man.
Yeah,
feel better,
thanks,
bro.
Rob.
Get some rest. So I can share it, and I've actually been trying to find a way to keep a flame alive. I mean, pun intended there with the Flareon, but trying to find a way to keep something there where I'm still excited and still opening up something every now and then, but maybe not as much, and trying to keep it a mystery there. I think at one point I even heard you mention that you stopped researching the sets coming out so you can be surprised and just try to enjoy it, and I think you were reaching for some of the same.
It is. I mean, the thing is that the longer you're in it, and that's why even in 2006, it wasn't that hard to really, as hard as you would have thought to walk away from it, even though I enjoyed it. The longer you're into something, and that's where, I always sit there, and when I've talked about it before, that Magic did a study back in the mid to like 2015, it averaged of 2 years. That's about the time frame that most people stay in the hobby. Yes, some will stay forever, and some will be here for a month. But an average, it's about 2 years. And you think about from 2000 to 2001, how many individuals, even in the YouTube space, in different spaces, we've seen come and go and change. I mean, we've seen new people coming in, and that's just typical lifespan in the hobby. So the longer you're in it, like you said, the more desensitized you become and the more things change. So
fully agree, buddy. Gotta find a way to keep it alive, man. Let's not all turn into Dan's. No offense, Dan. We love you, buddy, but we can't all be robots, man. We got to have some life in us. Keep the pulse. Switching it over to a little bit of the business now. I'm curious. So you do actually have a Pokemon business set up, and you're running that officially. So 3 businesses is what you're running right now.
Yep,
is that right?
I'm insane. That's my ADHD. I just follow the endorphins for a while, and it works really well. That I don't
crash
sleep,
and burn.
So. Yeah, I haven't crashed and burned in 7 years, so I think I'm running pretty good. So,
so you got a full Pokemon business though. It's running in parallel to the 2.
It's not full. I definitely do dip in and out of it. I mean, like I said, the nice thing about the Pokemon businesses is still hobby level. I don't have any like business money, no loans, no any of that kind of stuff. If I'm going on a trip, I just shut it down. I'm out. There's nobody calling me on the phone trying to, employees. I got nothing like that. Jacob helps me sort cards sometimes and get things done. Even the bulk side of things, I just sort everything down when it comes in, and I just keep, filling in TCG Player. I think I got close to like 30,000 cards listed on TCG Player now, just going through. TCG Direct is probably something that I'm looking at in 2024. That's been kind of the next thing I want to work on just for the logistics and the time savings of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot easier on the shipping part of it and everything like that. You just gotta pull everything together and get it to them. So, yeah, I mean, there's some differences, some things that I'm working on that part. Do I ever plan on it being like a full-time? This is another full-time business. No, I don't ever plan to be to that point. I'm pretty much right where I want to be at like that 10 to 14 hours roughly per week in it, because that's with YouTube and that too. So, I mean, I don't spend a ton of time. It's just really TikTok is fun. I just enjoy TikTok because I do get the open sets. That's my endorphin release for opening things, is doing it there. It's a good way to vent that without me doing it with my own money. So
you pay me, I open your packs, I get the enjoyment, then I'll send you the hits.
Yep.
Call it a day.
Exactly. Call it a day, because you don't want the bulk. I mean, I ask if they want the bulk. It's an option. But yeah, most people don't. They just want the hits. So. Yeah. But yeah, it like I said, it's not a full-time business. It's enjoyment for me. It's a hobby still at this point. Do I see it becoming a full-time business? No, it's not something that I'll probably try and push for anything further than what I've got right now.
If it happened, would you do it, or do you think it would ruin it for you and you want to stop and say no? I'm gonna reject it.
I probably would not. It's not that it would ruin it for me so much is that there's just only so many hours in a day. And then it brings me down to making choices to, can I give up family? You know, you're looking at giving up family. Am I giving up another career that's paying the bills, paying these things, you know, plus the farm?
Let me rephrase. Yeah. What if it paid you more than both of your other jobs put together, plus what you're making in Pokemon? Would you stop?
Yeah, probably in a couple more years I would stop.
Okay.
I mean, there would definitely be the opportunity to stop and go that way. It's just, I don't know. For me, I just can't sit around though. But if I could keep moving and keep functionally out of the studio or out of my office here and keep moving around, then yeah, I could be fine. But I'm not a very stationary person. I've learned that throughout the years. That's why probably I do so well at HVAC work too, is that it's a lot of driving from different places, different job sites. You're constantly meeting new people, new contractors, and doing new homes. So there's always that changing factor. So I don't want to say that I would do it, but if a full opportunity came and I could make more money than I do at my normal jobs, and I knew it was financially secure for many years down the road, something that I could retire into, then possibly. Maybe. But I just don't know if I feel that secure with Pokemon that, you know, in another 20, I still got 25 years, almost 30 years of runtime before I can retire. So is Pokemon going to push that far? I could see 10, 15 years, no problem in Pokemon. I don't know. You know, it's the TCG and there'd have to be something else. I'd have to branch into other things too. It wouldn't be just Pokemon any longer to do it full time.
Follow the footsteps of Mason. Open up a store, my friend.
Yeah, no. I don't want a brick and mortar.
Sure you do. Yeah, he's an HVAC guy. He owns his own business.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. He inherited it from his father. So, yeah, him and his brother, they run it. So it was a little bit in the beginning there, but yeah, good to see you, Pope Father. Thanks for stopping by, my friend.
Yes, thanks for stopping in.
Oh, I just saw Ernie too. Thanks for coming by, Ernie.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, buddy. Good to see you. All right. Well, do you also have distribution, though? I think you said no already, but I just wanted to ask again just to confirm. No. So you just always trying to get your good deals and yeah.
The only thing that I have is that I've tried, you know, I've looked at it and I've thought about it and I was thinking about trying, but I have a friend that works for a distributor that I actually played cards with in my first couple of years of college. That's actually where I get a lot of my info for, you know, potential
what's happening. Yeah.
Reprints and things that are coming. I've said that before on channel that's kind of my source for that information is I have a friend that works for a distributor, you know, and like you said, he hears that there's a reprint coming. So like Evolving Skies that left. Well, there's a Revolving Skies reprint coming. And I was like, booster box. And he said, well, booster box. Well, there did come in December. It went to Britain. So that's the things is that he sometimes hears of all of them. They just say, you know, they hear down the line, there's a reprint coming. Well, then they went to a different country. So that was when Britain got that big restock on it. So it did happen. It just went to the wrong location. And that's the catches to him too, is that, you know, sometimes they just hear from Pokemon Company there's a reprint coming. but you don't know allocations. You don't know how big. You don't know if you're getting it. It could be this place, or that place. And it's just one of those things is that, like he said, you don't know for sure you think we know more information, but sometimes we're getting the information of it just as you're hearing it on YouTube. So he said it's funny because a lot of times you're chasing Reddit, YouTube, everybody's getting the same information at the same time. And it's kind of just funny, but I like talking to him whenever I hear of reprints just because I like hearing it right from a source of someone that's in the business and hearing it for sure. Yeah. So
yeah, fully agree. Good connection to have. Yeah, I think you said he was a college friend back in the day. So, and his dad
actually owned a card shop in Menominee. Yep,
and it closed. So, so then he went work for the distributor, and that's your inside connection. I love it. It's there if you ever want to open an LGS. It'll be there for you.
Yes, if I open a brick and mortar, he said he'd get me one immediately. It wouldn't take anything, but I'd have to have a brick and mortar for them to be able to offer it.
Yeah,
and I don't want a brick and mortar.
You gotta start spending that money every month, man. Every month.
Yeah, you gotta pay that rent.
That and buy the inventory. Yeah.
I told him if he could do it online, if he could let me do online, if he could find a way to get me into the distributor where I could sell online, fine, I would do it. I would have no problem taking on a distributor for that. I have enough people looking for stuff, and I could lower my prices a little bit and become more competitive with some other people. But once again, they don't want to give out. I bet you if I were to really sit there and pick at different distributors at this point in time with the current market, that I could probably pry one open in order enough to get, but they would probably make me take like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic and all the stuff. Well, probably not Magic because Magic, you got to have a brick and mortar in order to get it. But they'd be sending me other stuff too. Yeah, Disney. They'd probably be trying to push some of the other TCGs that they could. So it wouldn't be just Pokemon again anymore. It'd probably be bundled stuff, then I'd have to take other things on to be able to do that and find a market to sell that also. So
you get like 1,000 Verizon boxes, and we start trying to sell.
I take Flesh and Blood. I've actually played that now, and that's actually not too bad of a game. TCG.
All right. Well, it's a good thing Pokemon's not in your name, so it would work out if you had to take all that inventory. So
that's why I did it. To be honest with you, I didn't want to put Pokemon in my. Because, I was like my wife. She's like, why'd you just call yourself like a Pokemon name? I said, number one, that's copyright infringement, which could become a real big issue, which it did on Instagram for some people. But I said on top of it, the other part is that I said, I don't know if I'm being Pokemon. I like Pokemon. I'll keep collecting Pokemon. But is that always where the business, that business is always going to go? Or is there going to be a new MetaZoo takes off, and I might have been doing MetaZoo, selling MetaZoo. That might have become would have been a disaster if it went that way. But funny, I mean, there was always that opportunity.
On your MetaZoo comment, and we'll get back on point here in a second. But on your MetaZoo comment about a year and a half ago, you mentioned that you didn't think it was going to last. I was watching it today, thinking, well, that was quite on point.
Some people love MetaZoo. I get it. But, you've heard my comments on it. The biggest problem I always have with MetaZoo is that they went right for the investing side and the collector and the big money. And that's fine if that's what you always want to be. But you can't have a TCG if you don't build a TCG. So you look at Lacana, you look at One Piece, you look at those ones. They actually are building a foundation of players. Lacana's probably got the most female players I've ever seen in my life.
Probably.
That are showing up and playing. They love it. They absolutely love it. But, yeah. Yeah, that's right. They'll be the only ones left.
I love it. You got that right, Chef. One of ones. Yeah.
So, I had a concern, and I've never really went into MetaZoo whatsoever. I kind of bought a couple boxes, and I bailed on them pretty quickly. There was not enough security in that particular set for me to really want to jump in on it until they built a TCG base of players. And, well, we can see how that's working out right now.
It didn't go too well, did it?
No.
Yeah. Well, looking back at the business side, it was actually quite good because you've grown quite substantially. You mentioned a year ago, again, year and a half ago, that you did about $8,000 that year, and you were pretty happy with that. Mm-hmm. However, you just did a recent video 2 or so days ago, and
Yep.
20% of your profit came from TikTok, but that was already at about 4 or 5 grand just in that 20%. So that was great. That shows a decent amount of growth just over a single year.
And I was going to put a disclaimer on that. I screwed up. That was my gross sales. FYI.
Ah, okay.
That was my gross sale. I looked at the wrong number when I
Okay.
was doing the video. I mean, it was my gross sales was almost 5,000. I did 4,800 and some dollars by the end of the year just on TikTok. So,
Okay.
which
Okay.
gross,
That was
I mean,
okay.
it's I make about 25% on that. So,
On that.
still,
Okay.
it's a substantial gain this year. But
Okay.
bulk was still my majority sales overall. Bulk and singles was definitely my actually right there alone in the bulk and single side. I was sitting right around that $7,000 range, six
Okay.
7 right in that range for the final numbers. Just selling sealed product through like TCG Player and all that stuff was also running right about 1,000. So I never liked selling sealed stuff through TCG Player. I just hate taking that 13% hit on stuff. And that's always one of the things that always bothers me about it.
I understand. Yeah. I think I saw that you were doing TCG Player, eBay, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You're on all of those, right?
I don't do Instagram, but I do Mercari.
Yeah. Oh, you do Mercari.
I have a Mercari account. Graded cards sell really well on Mercari, and they're only 10% seller's fee, so you save about 3% on there. But cards move pretty good on there. I don't do Instagram, and TikTok was fairly new right at the end of the year there, so I opened up TikTok Shop in October, or mid-October
there. Do you have? It kind of sounds like it the more you laid this out, but do you have specific strategies that you use per platform? Are you saying, okay, hey, I'm gonna focus bulk on TCG Player, I'll focus graded cards on Mercari and eBay? What's been your strategy across the platforms and why?
Typically right now, my strategy has been, like you said, bulk is really TCG Player alone, just because their systems are so easy to get loaded up, get all that large number of bulk up there, and I'll load it in. You don't have to do much with it. Graded cards was really split about 50-50 between eBay and Mercari. I really started shifting to Mercari more towards the end of the year. Beginning of the year, I was doing a lot of eBay sales on that. Sealed product has been kind of a mix. Originally, for the beginning of the year, when I did want to sell single or sealed, I was doing a lot on even Craigslist locally. Local buyers, local people on Craigslist, I would do fairly well.
Yeah.
Yep. Good old Craigslist, 0 fees. You can do PayPal with and send it if you want and do that route. You got to pay the PayPal fees for goods and services, but still, that's a lot cheaper than selling through TCG Player, eBay, or those other locations. So, so I've been doing a little bit on Craigslist, and then at the end of the year, it really shifted to TikTok. And TikTok, with their promotions, has really been a big push. So right now, a majority of my packs and sealed product are being sold through TikTok currently.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I was going next anyways. Good point here, Chef. So, in all transparency, so I've mentioned it a few times, so anybody that's been with me for a while, a little bit of a repetition here, but I use Shopify as my base. I use Binder POS for integration for all of my inventory. That creates all my listings on Shopify, TCG Player, and eBay. It also integrates with Facebook Marketplace, Google, and TikTok. Well, there was a couple of chat boxes to turn it on. I said, yeah, sure, go ahead and turn it on for TikTok. All my inventory's there. I manage it through Binder POS, so just let it flow. Yeah, no problem. And I've had a problem with that whole integration between Google and TikTok ever since day one. I get my products listed on there, then they say I'm in violation of their policies. I'm like, okay, what is it you need? What do you want? Yeah. And so then they shut down the store, and I'm sitting there trying to argue with the customer service. I'm like, okay, well, these are Pokemon cards we're reselling. I got a reseller certificate. What is it you need? I'll be happy to give it to you. They can't even tell me. Say, okay. So do you do yours via just manual uploads? How do you manage 30,000 cards across your platform?
So 30,000 cards, I do a lot of the Excel. So I use the Excel sheets for the uploads on there for
TCG Player.
TCG Player. So, like I said, bulk is just all there. My sealed product is on TikTok, and I manually upload that onto the TikTok shop. It's just, I'm always running fairly lean comparatively to if I did have a distributor where I'd have all the different stuff. So I'm really picking and choosing what I'm selling, and where I can get the markups and the most popular things that are selling really well if I'm looking to turn that kind of, inventory around. So like Chilling Rain, I sold on TikTok early, and Evolving Sky ZTBs. I had a bunch of those over for what I wanted for my sealed investment, and I was looking for some capital to be able to open up the more of the rip and chip stuff. So it was a great opportunity to throw it up there. They had zero. I'm still under the 0% buyer or seller's fee right now underneath TikTok. So right now I'm not even getting. It's temporary. It's a 90-day run, and I think it actually runs out in a couple days. So, but then it only goes up to 3%. So my agreement is for 3% for still using it. Plus all the promotions and stuff that they're continually running has been huge for the overall sales. So
that's great. Manually
loading. The only violation I've ever really gotten by manually loading is, and I can see maybe the issue with the integration is that TikTok seems to be very specific on the product lines when you load them. Like you got to be specific down to the set
category,
name, the number of packs, the category. The categories were something at first it took me a minute to figure out on the first couple. But once you figured that out, it went pretty smooth. So that was probably where you ran into the issue.
Yeah. It's the same thing with Google.
So, integrating between the two, I could see why that issue may have occurred at that point. So, but, overall, going back to Chef's question even on it, how are the waters on the TikTok shop? I've had very good success with it. I know Old School and I both talked about it, our Cold Card Shop, Josh over there, and I talked about it on the one live because he's been using it and I've been using it pretty consistently at this point in time. And both of us said it's been very, very easy, very, very lucrative. Overall, it's probably been the best sales platform thus far because they are pushing to make a really big shop. So they're doing a lot of things to assist both buyer and seller. Typically a lot of places will push the seller and they don't care about the buyers. And TikTok has been the exact opposite when it comes from experience. They have been very good at working with the buyer and the sellers. And even, Gimbo Slice putting it on there. I mean, I've had other people say that on the videos that they need rounds of coupons. But realistically, I can still be more competitive on TikTok for sales than I can be on TCG Player or eBay when it comes down to seal product. I only have to account for 3% loss on myself than actually thinking 13% loss. So if I want to, I can list a little bit lower than TCG Player and eBay for product comparison and still be more profitable at the end of the day when it comes down to those platforms. So the coupons are great because it gets the buyers in a feeding frenzy, but it's the buyers in a feeding frenzy. They start trying to find everything. Even I was buying stuff on TikTok during those promotions, buying cases of products and things like that at a super price. But once again, it is very aggressive. TikTok's being very aggressive with everything right now, especially with those sellers fees and things like that and then they take care of the shipping's a little bit easier too because they pretty much, if you're in their shipping program, if you have the right sizing and everything on the products, they just print out a label. So you just got to have my little laser or my thermal printer here and just kicks out the labels, put it in the box. So you can kick through really fast.
So let me make sure I capture this correctly because I don't have the experience there. So I don't want to make sure I misunderstand. So a 3% or 0 fee right now. You're going to be anticipating a 3% fee on TikTok. You don't pay anything for shipping. And is there a credit card transaction fee on addition to the 3% you're going to be anticipating? So for example, Shopify's 2.3 or 2.5, something like that.
From what I've seen, no. That's okay. Looking at the list, so I just looked at my agreement. So when we build the shop, you have the agreement for the shop itself. You get the 90 days. I had a 90-day thing with 0%, and then it goes to 3%. It says that at 90 days, I'll be increased to a 3% seller's fee. The only other thing that they do is they take a reserve. So there's a reserve that's taken out of so many products until you build a reserve base. So, and that's another thing where they're kind of protecting the seller or the buyer in a way on that particular part of it is that they're building a reserve on you that if for some reason a product of yours is damaged, doesn't meet, whatever happens and you have a dispute on that and let's just say you bail on the shop, that they have a reserve to be able to cover those customers. So based on your sales volume, they build a reserve And then if you do close down the shop so many days after you close, so let's say you stop selling after, I believe it's after 90 days or 90 days, they send you your full reserve. So you're always kind of building a little bank of reserve money on there also.
Okay. I've been avoiding it. I'm like, you know what? I'm not dealing with this. I don't feel like going back and working with customer service. They were terrible. They didn't know what to look at. They were like, "Oh, can you take a screenshot and send it to me?" Like, it's your platform. Why am I sending these? Why am I sending you screenshots of your platform? Just look. You canceled this. You did that. Now it's past the time frame. It's your fault that I'm in this situation in the first place. You couldn't even tell me what you wanted. But I think you're right. There were some categorization issues because there's certain fields that we just don't need in other places. And when you moved over to those platforms, they required them, but the integration didn't really handle that too gracefully. And I said, hey, fill in this column for your 30,000 products, and you'll be good to go. It was like, no, there's an error. Okay, what's the error?
It's on 30,000 products.
Like, I'm not going to fix all this manually.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have manually, I wouldn't have tried to do a mass integration of that size. Like I said, sealed product is fairly easy. And that works pretty well for doing that. I've even been starting to look at putting up some graded cards, but there's a lot of integration to that too when you have the categories. I mean, they really have a breakdown where you can't, the card is going to be what you say it is, or they're going to kick it out. So, so there is some work that would be involved in that too. So I've been thinking about doing graded cards on it, but on the other hand, looking at all the categorical stuff that you need to fill out, the amount of work to list a card is going to be pretty difficult. And I don't know if it's really worth that versus eBay.
And then that's really, I guess, my point is if I have to put in all that manual effort for the listing, I'm not doing it. Just forget it.
No.
If I was making zero money, then okay, maybe. But if I'm making enough elsewhere, then okay, fine. You just don't get my business. So forget about it.
Yeah. And that's just it. It comes down to size again. Me being smaller, me spending a little bit of time doing the categorical work, because it's not that that big of a hindrance to me when it comes down to it. But if you've got thousands of products you're trying to list, I don't think TikTok would be a very good listing platform for thousands of products. It would just get very difficult and cumbersome to do that.
Fully agree. All right. Well, taking the same concept though, all these platforms, everything that you're using, let's now turn the lens to content creation, because in some shape or form you're creating content on these platforms, whether you're going live and you're ripping packs on TikTok, creating a short or whatever it is for Instagram, or your long form content here on YouTube. Talk to us a little bit about your strategy on the different platforms now from the content creation perspective, and how do you try to move through that?
I fly by the seat of my pants. I really do not understand YouTube in any way, shape, or form. It just became more of a vlog of what I'm doing. So like I said, when I'm telling people I'm buying stuff, I am literally buying that stuff. If I'm telling people I'm selling stuff and my reasoning behind it, I am literally selling out of it for the exact reasons that I'm giving you. Understanding that, trying to get growth, I don't understand how anybody successfully grows a channel on YouTube, and I've been doing it now for 3 years, and it still is just a complete mystery. And it's like when you start figuring something out, they change, and it's completely gone. And I've just been like, I don't get it. And when it comes down to like Instagram and Facebook and that, I just continually just post up like pictures that I'm doing, openings that I'm doing. I'll take the openings from like TikTok and I integrate them into the other ones because just the viewing sometimes. Nice thing is about those kind of platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, it's really just a posting platform. So as long as you're active and continually posting, Pokemon stuff, it continually grows. I've had actually better growth on all three of them platforms just because I can consistently just take a picture of a card I pulled and throw it on all three of them, and it does really well. It just continues to keep that algorithm happy that you're maintaining activity in those ones. TikTok, of course, I do put a few sales ones too, so I'll throw out like my sales advertisements for my breaks and things like that. Those are all things that are necessary in order to get people to come to your live breaks and things like that, just to continue to promote that business side of it. But once again, a lot of those are just pack openings too, and polls and things like that. Or even fun thing about TikTok is you don't have to stay even in your own genre. So I was even doing I was smoking something before a live the one day, and I was using it as promotional throughout the thing, just doing like me different stages of smoking up ribs, and it was just funny because getting tons of views. They were just, the videos were like blowing up just because it was like real life activity stuff. So it was fun.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I played with it a little bit, but I'm still learning as I go. So I'm probably flying by the seat of my pants there, just right behind you. Tell me this though, with the way you post, do you use any tools to post across all the platforms at once? Do you have any kind of secret sauce there?
So when it comes down to TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, I really just make one video and then I upload to all three. So I just use Power Director or Cyber or Power Director or whatever it is. 360 is what I use. So I just use that. I make one video and I make one and I just upload it to all three. That's pretty easy. Facebook, of course, or YouTube is its own game. You're continually doing editing. You got to be a little bit more high quality, long form. You're always trying to make those edits and clean it up as best that you can, and try not to say what's my phrase that I always say. I always get made fun of because it's like when I'm thinking my default is to, like I said, before or something like that. I always say that. So someone said they should put a counter like at the top corner. How many? So I really am just freelancing it and making it up. It's like my go-to. Yeah, but it's like my go-to phrase. Yeah, it's my gap filler. It really is. And it's just, everybody has one if you listen to us. It's just apparently mine is really annoying to some people, which it is what it is. I mean, that's, once again, that's just who I am.
Yeah, take it or leave
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I think it'd be funny, though. One guy said, you should put a counter every time you say it. It'd be funny. Put my own counter. How many times I have my filler phrase going in there.
There you go, Chef. Your son's first task is to create a little bot that runs in the background and counts each of the PokeTubers' gap fillers and adds a little counter into Streamlabs.
Put a little counter above us all. How many times did they say this?
Agreed. Grading card profit is dead. I wouldn't do it either. What are you selling now, Walrus?
What are you selling?
This is your lifeblood, man. If you don't have graded cards, man, you must be out. You're out. All right, my man. We'll move just a little bit into the content space for a little bit more. I'm curious, do you get stuck on trying to understand your analytics and digging into the numbers? You just don't care? Where's your spectrum on trying to manage your efforts in the content creation space?
So at one point I cared, and I really did try and do the whole deep dive into the analytics, try and find out, key phrases and things like that. And like I said, I'm too old, I think, to understand this whole algorithm and analytics part of it. And I said about a year and a half ago, I got to the point where I'm like, I'm just going to talk about what I talk about. And, realistically, it is what it is. I mean, I never joined YouTube to make 100,000, 1 million subscriber channel. That's never been a goal of mine. I just always wanted to have a platform, especially when I started. There were some really, really bad investment advice. I mean, there were literally people just running the Pokemon coattails trying to get people to subscribe to their channel. And a lot of times, if even you probably watched some of the early videos, they were like whoa, you need to really think about this type of stuff before, this doesn't just go buy it and wait it and flip it. I mean, this is going to stop. There is no rhyme or reason for this to hold up long term. And, buy this because it's out of print. It just got printed a month ago. It's not going out of print. Battle Styles is only a month old. It's in the middle of its site. It just started. Well, it's all out of print. And of course, there's this massive reprint of, print to order right behind it. And it's like, you're hearing all these cliche catchphrases. It's out of print. It's, it's a year old, so it's out of print. No, it's not out of print. Everything has a 2-year lifespan in Pokemon. It actually is in rotation for, I believe, 3 cycles for most of it. Because I think now E is just going out currently. So this will be the first one. So Shining Fates is just getting knocked out of tournament play. The rest of Shining Fates, Battle Styles, Chilling Reign, Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike are all knocked out of tournament play. So now you're still having, but you'll have all of Brilliant Stars forward. You'll have first year of Scarlet and Violet. Now you're getting the second year of Scarlet and Violet, all coming in for this eligibility for still being tournament. So these sets last a lot longer than what people think. And, the cliche catches were always the one reason I really started going towards this direction. It's like, I want to make this more sensible. There is investment opportunity. There is potential. There is possibilities. There's some really good things that you can purchase and be very successful at it. But to sit there and put these cliche terms and give people this false sense of security that if I pay $183 for a box of battle styles, I'm going to make big money on this in 6 months. It's going to be double that for sure, easily, because Vivid Voltage and Darkness Ablaze did it. Well, we all know the story a little bit further down the line. It doesn't work that way. That's not how even normal investing in markets work. And that's a fact. You just have to really, really analyze it. And I was trying to get ahead of it when I started the channel. Really, even when I was doing breaks with my son, we were doing 2 days of breaking product. And I was doing one day where I just talked about the Pokemon market. I was using that as kind of a platform to do that.
I was just looking at the comments.
Oh no. Digimon.
Hobby is dead. I'm flipping metas right now. Buyer's market.
He is right. If you want to be in it, it's a buyer's market. Don't cheat.
That part. That's right. Digimon to the moon. I mean, whoops. Sorry. To the floor.
Wrong. Sorry. Correction. I saw that too. I thought that was pretty good.
That was good.
My bad.
It was good. Yeah. Oops. Sorry. Wrong graph. But when we think about this in terms of your channel, though, one of the things I saw that you did recently was really give it a focus on memberships. So you're trying to build a value there. You're trying to create, something behind it. Yeah. What's your thoughts behind that, and where are you taking it for 2024?
The biggest thing is that, we talk about make data in front of spreadsheets and stuff like that. And even when you're creating these videos and when you're trying to do your content and build your content creation, a lot of times you have a really big data trail, and trying to put all that data into a video and actually present that is really, really difficult. And it never looks good. You can't put an Excel sheet or really make something that looks good to put inside of here. So the value I've been trying to really add to people is the first thing is that I want to build a community in the backside that can understand, and we can have discussions, talk about things a little bit more in depth. If people have questions, we can definitely have an in-depth conversation with some of the people that are back there that are really in tune with the Pokemon TCG and where they want to go and look at the investment scale of it. But the other part of it is that I've really wanted to work on is getting that data sets to people. So I can talk about data and talk about where things are, but data just gets really boring. But some people do want that data, and some people really do want to have that information and see, which boxes, like I talked about even on the top 5 booster boxes was a good one. Putting that data up on the membership, and that way it's clean, it's not out there, and then they could get access to it to be able to say, well, look, at the end of this year, this section is done really well. And then you can really pull out that data and use that to make decisions. So like WotC boxes. Why do WotC boxes do so good all of a sudden this year? I didn't even realize that so many WotC boxes had recovered so much this year. I mean, I kind of put them out of mind because they were on just a constant free fall down to like $6,000-$7,000. All of a sudden they're going back up to 10 to 12, and I didn't even realize it. So it was even a good data set for myself. But once again, putting that out in a video format is really bad and they're really hard to do. And then it gives an added value to people that want to support the channel. If you want to support the channel, it's fantastic, and I really appreciate that. And I always feel that, a lot of people just say, well, it's 99 cents, it supports the channel. I want to give you something for supporting the channel. I mean, I'm already making it, I'm already creating it. Why not give you access to that where you could maybe do something and make decisions with that data too, if you're looking for more information from those data sets. I'm building it, I'm doing it, it's on my computer. Why not give it to someone for appreciation for, supporting?
Are you hosting like Discord sessions on the weekends or something? Like, how are you you're just having it like on a shared location?
For the right now, it just goes on the YouTube site for most of that data stuff right now. So if you have, if you have the membership if you actually buy the membership on my YouTube channel, then there's data on sets and information. I also try and do like for things that are for sale and pricing stuff. If I see really good pricing someplace, I'm going to start trying to put that data up there too on that backside, so people will have like that first look or that first opportunity to grab it before a video comes out or things like that. So Discord to me is just irritating. I really don't do a ton on Discord. I tried doing Discord and I really had high hopes for Discord, but it's like I just hang out in Professor Oaks most of the time, or I go to Josh.
That's a good place.
Josh is at old card shop. I like hanging out in his quite a bit. Even Rattles, I kind of hang around there sometimes and just chat and talk. So I just hang out on other people's. It's been a little bit more easier. Just to not.
It's easier.
Just to be involved there.
If you're not on Oak's Discord, make sure you get on there. It's definitely the one to be on. That's for sure. Shout out to Professor Oak. Much love, buddy. All right. Well, we'll move off of that. I think I had one more for you, and it was more around the Choose Your Path series. So here, common podcasters here and different perspectives. You started a year ago on yours. You're going to start back up this year. What did you learn last year? What are you wanting to improve? What are you wanting to do better?
So the one biggest thing is that I'm going to do differently is I like to do it live. In some ways, the intention was to have a very specific topic and try and keep it really specific going through. So you got a common perspective for, different areas in the hobby. But one thing that I learned about that is that I feel it'd be more of a I don't want to say it, more interactive to have people actually be able to discuss things in the chat. Kind of like here, we can have a set format of questions and kind of still go that direction. But if people are having an area where they really want to know more information for that specific area in the hobby, we can address that and we can actually work on that a little bit better. So that was one of the big reasons that I'm moving more to the live platform style.
Okay.
Yeah. And that way we can use the chat and use the people that are in it to be able to work better at it and give them more information, because there are a lot of people that have questions on that afterwards, and you could actually get that in front of them and they could have a discussion. Even when we were doing the premieres, I would have the content creator that I had on for the Choose Your Path come into the premiere, and they would be there, and you could see that people were asking questions on specific things. And it was one of the parts where it's like, I wish I could have captured this into the live and actually been able to have that discussion, because it's a point that was missed but got brought up and would have been really good as an additive to that. So that's one big thing. The other thing is that I'm not trying to be as ambitious with it for time scheduling. I was trying to do it like once every 2 weeks before, or once a week at one point. And it's like, number one, trying to keep content creators and schedule that and pull it off is extremely difficult in that kind of system. Eventually you get to the pool where it starts drying up and it's really difficult to get the next person. But on top of it, for me, for timing, it was really difficult for me to do a 2.5 hour long format video and then go and edit all that video, put it together, and then get it out in those time frames too. So because I was editing it and actually trying to clean it up and shorten, remove all the dead spaces, and the one benefit to that was if you did kind of screw up and you got off trail, or you really didn't want to say something, because there's always that little bit of a safety net. You could tell me, well, never mind, I don't really want to say that, I got too depth with my financial part of it or something like that. You can always back it out and have me remove it. So that safety net will be gone. It's gone now. You're gonna be going. It is what it is. So we're gonna be doing that once a month to start out. I would like to try and get that to twice a month as we get going, but for sure, we'll be doing that once a month coming up here, starting. Well, you're going to be the first one up on deck here in a week and a half. So you get to come on my channel, and we get to go the other direction on the interview, which would be good. Like I said, there's a lot of good guys on there, and they really do like to have questions and talk about things, and definitely have some good information. And that's the Choose Your Path series was really designed to get people that are newer in the hobby, or people that are still trying to struggle with identity in the hobby, to maybe give them perspectives from other directions. What path could be successful to them? How were other people successful in those particular paths? And is it something that's interesting to them? Because, rather than trying everything out, you could become more specific quicker if you were to fall into that Choose Your Path series to be able to make those decisions.
I like it. Well, I wish you nothing but the best luck, and I'll be happy and honored to kick off 2024 for you. So looking forward to that one.
And we got.
I didn't mean to. Go ahead. Who do you got next?
Well, after me? I was going to say Java Acom is going to be the second one that's going to be in February. Nice. So I got Java coming right behind you.
Yeah, I think he mentioned that in one of his lives. Yeah, he's going to do a couple of them back to back all in 1 month.
Yeah, he looks like he's got a busy next 2 months coming for him for jumping around the places.
Exactly. I think he's going to be with me in February. So it'll be good. So Brown CLM, I fully agree with you. My kids love Scarlet Violet. I know it gets a lot of hate in the investing side of the space. It didn't really move. It's coming in below market price. There's a lot of things you could say about this from an investment standpoint if you're trying to have quicker profits. But my kids love it. At the local LGS, playing it, in terms of the TCG itself, they love it. There's nothing bad about it whatsoever. So from that perspective of the hobby, fully agree with you. Fully agree with you.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that too. And I really think that we always run into this. When people went from XY to Sun and Moon, it was the same thing. Even when we went from base set to Neo. Man, you know how many people did not like Neo when it first came out? It was junk. It was garbage.
Really?
This stuff sucks. Oh, yeah. It wasn't a popular. Neo was not popular when it first came out. And it happens on every single era. We always kind of do that. And we always dump that. Yeah, my kids miss Rainbow cards too, FYI. But yeah, it's just something that happened, I was trying to remember. Now I'm trying to remember. I was watching a video the other day and I was listening to it. And he got exactly the point that I've tried to. Pokemon always has a dead period. They're more driven on mechanics right now. And that's what Josh and I said a year ago. They're more driven on mechanics right now. And when the base sets come out and when the first beginning of the era comes out, the mechanics are the number one thing. They're building things up. They're trying to create a new mechanic. They're changing the way that you play it. And that's always that little building step. I will say, in Scarlet and Violet so far has been by far my favorite start to an era in Pokemon. Even from before to now. The illustrator arts, the secret illustrator arts, everything that they've continued into here from Sword and Shield, slightly different, but still doing very similar to the alt art thing. I was worried, and Josh from Old Card Shop and I were saying a year ago, we were worried they were going to go all the way back down to what they did with the base set. You went from Cosmic Eclipse to Sword and Shield, base set. What'd you keep? Gold cards and rainbows. Everything else went. The whole thing starts over. It usually is a full master reset. And it didn't do it this time. They kept some of those bigger chases in them. And the artwork is fantastic. I think it's some of the best artwork.
Getting better and better. Better and better.
It keeps getting better. The artwork keeps getting better and better. And I think it's just going to take a little bit of time. Once again, we saw it in Sword and Shield even at the beginning. It kind of dipped a little bit coming out of Hidden Fates and Scarlet or Cosmic Eclipse. It dips a little bit, and then coming up, I'm interested to see what's going to come out in the new set that's coming because there should be some new mechanic coming. Huh?
Well, they get Fates Collide. They have the A specs are coming, right? With I think Paldea and Fates. I think it's coming out with that set. So you got the A specs coming back into play, which is going to be great for the mechanics of the game. And there's a couple of other really, really cool things. Lots of new Pokemon as well. Some new more of the Terra forms, but yeah, okay, I get it. But still, there's some pretty cool stuff. Past and future is going to be there. So you got the the Suicune, and I forget the name of the Suicune in the future or the past.
I know, I just saw it too, and I can't remember what it was.
Yes, I forget what it was. And then you got the other. I forget what the other Pokemon was. I think it was Verizon actually, Virizion.
Virizian's on the pack art.
Yeah, looks really good. Really good. I'm excited. Yeah.
I am too. It looks really good, and like I said, the mechanics they're going to add in. You're going to get some new. You look at Sword and Shield. This is where about the time frame when Amazing Rare showed up. Yeah. So there's always some new mechanic, new thing that's going to jump in as we move a little bit further into Scarlet and Violet. They just got to hit something that's going to go.
Multi-Terra type too. Yeah, good point, FMO. Yeah. I missed this one. Walrus, if you start making YouTube videos, it truly is all over. It is all over, my friend. YouTube will shut down after that. It won't function. Interesting. If you do it, I bet you. No, I won't, because I saw you in the live with Basic. So I think you'll be much of the same person you are in the chat. You just be doing it in the live.
It might be like watching Cool Trainer Ryan's channel. It's just kind of an adult version of.
Exactly. You should do it, Walrus. I'll be your first subscriber, my friend. Be right there with you.
I'd be right there too.
I love it. All right, so we'll keep moving.
Halfway there. You got 2.
Exactly. You got 2 subscribers, man. You're almost monetized. Making bank. If we look a little bit at the market for a minute, we were just touching on it, ironically, so it was a great segue over to what we see. We all thought, and I still think so, that Sword and Shield is going to age very well. That was a huge transition. I think it's going to have an amazing, I would say, journey as it starts to age. How do you see Sword and Shield now? Do you think it's on the right trajectory? Do you think we're a little bit behind? What's your perspective?
I think that we're right on trajectory. I think overall, from what I'm seeing on Sword and Shield, with it still being such a modern set, I definitely think you saw water resistant.
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry.
I did. I saw it and I kept it straight, but you lost it. I'm like, I know he just saw it. So, anyways,
yeah.
I think Sword and Shield is right on the right track. I think overall the trajectory of Sword and Shield is pretty much where I expected it to be. We still have some time on it. Like I said, the last third of Sword and Shield is still in rotation for tournament.
Yeah.
There's still a potential that we might see reprints of some of these things yet, as weird as that sounds. Could we see an ETB reprint of, Lost Origins and Silver Tempest, Astral Radiance, and Brilliant Stars?
Crown Zenith. Yeah.
Crown Zenith? Absolutely. We could still see more of every one of those still come back. So we're still not out of the for sure for reprints on any of those last sets. So they've been very playable. They've been very useful in the actual tournament play. People are still using those decks, and if there is popular decks out of those last ones, they could still reprint. Not saying they will. I'm not putting it out there for anybody that it's a for sure it's going to happen, but hypothetically, it's still up for grabs. I mean, we're not out of the woods for any of these sets for reprints. So once again, with where we're at, where the age of Sword and Shield, how it's been performing, I think it's right on track and it's doing fantastic overall. Anybody, even like I've even said in videos, Dating Phantom was against buying booster boxes at 130 of like Lost Origins and Brilliant Stars. To me, I still see great opportunity in the next 3 to 5 years. Buying these at 130 is not even a hesitation for me at this point. I think you could still do really well. If you didn't buy in at 100 or 105, you could definitely still be profitable in the next 3 to 5 years at 130. I don't see them slowing down. Our kids, we got such an infusion of new people and kids in Sword and Shield that it's going to continue to disappear, and it's going to continue to go up in price just because people love opening it. Kids love chasing alternate arts. Even I always laugh at Voltage, how many kids jumped into this hobby? How many people came into that hobby in that Vivid Voltage set? Yes, it's got a stupid Rainbow Pikachu is the only thing in it. But how many months? We went years with that card being the talk of the town, of it being the chase card. I mean, we went a year in this hobby with that being the chase.
And it still hasn't recovered. Back to your point about single cards.
Yeah, I know. It still hasn't gone back to $600. I'm waiting for it to. Yeah, no.
Yeah. I looked again today. I was like, nope, not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Boy, that was a horrible investment. I thought this thing was going to the moon because they were telling me that.
Yeah, I would agree with you, though. I think it's definitely going to age well, and it's all about time. Over time, to your point, 130 is really going to be nothing. I've said the same thing about even when I was buying up some XY and Sun and Moon sets. It's like, I'm okay buying at these prices because over time, it's going to age well for me, and I enjoy them. Even if it was a set I want to crack open, I'd be great. Got some breakthrough. Let's do it. Let's go for it.
Let's go.
I see. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh when you were talking, but
I knew if you saw it, you'd be done.
Lars, I can at least resize the window of the browser and just to show your face, so it's okay. You can put them on public whenever you're ready, my friend. I'll still watch.
We're ready for this.
That's it. It was a walking wake. That's what it was. So the version of Suicune. Yeah, that's the name we were looking for. Hey, Mason, just your average Jeff. Good to see you guys. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, you missed a little bit of it. We're about halfway through. Andy's like, oh, crap, halfway? Oh, man.
I told my wife I'd get up when I get up. I left her open. Trust me, ask Mason. Whenever we get on a chat, it's 3 to 4 hours minimum.
Yeah, we're going down the rabbit hole, guys. Good to see you, Mason. Thanks for stopping by, man. So I'm glad they're not going to ever reprint the Felt Hat Pika. Phew. Thank goodness. All right. Football Pete's got them for $120 on eBay. There you go, everybody. Jump in on it. Save $10. Use your TikTok coupon.
Yeah.
I know you don't look at them, or at least you said you didn't at some point in time, Andy, but are you actually looking at some of the sets now that you're not as much of an opener? Have you got a chance to peek at Paldean Fates? Any initial thoughts? Are you excited about it? Or you don't know what's right in it? Okay. All right.
Nope.
All right.
I've been staying to that. I just don't. I look at the products that are coming because the products are fine. To me, there's no real excitement to the outside of the box except for just playability and which ones are going to be good. But no, I honestly, on the announcements, I just stay away from them as much. I mean, you can't avoid them all. I already know what the Charizard looks like. I know what the Pikachu and Raichu baby shinies look like and stuff like that. But in general, I've been staying away from the overall release information on the set.
Okay. All right. Yeah, wouldn't that be awkward? I agree, Mason. It would be awkward if they just gave those things away for free.
Gave away Sun and Moon code cards for free. It'd be crazy if they did that. Absolutely weird.
That's all right, Walrus. If you just grade it and you get a PSA 10, then you got yourself a good deal, buddy.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's the new market. Nobody's talking about. There you go. That could be your first video. The potential opportunities of the slept-on code card graded market.
But you got to be shirtless. That's the only way to make that one successful. Get a million views. A million views. I love it. All right. So we'll keep it rolling. One of the things I wanted to ask you though is, what do you think it'll take for Pokemon to die?
At this point, so the only concern I had in Pokemon, even in 2019, is a hobby is only as good as the next generation, right? That's realistically what we're looking at this point in time, even on anything. Any kind of hobby, collectible, you even look at even the muscle car market. I got people that are sitting there used to collect muscle cars and bigger muscle cars, and now that's kind of even dying down. Pricing on those are going away because the older generation just is dying, and the younger generation doesn't care about a 1970s car. So realistically, that's the biggest concern right now I have for Pokemon, in my opinion, is not getting the next generation, the 8-second generation, as I call it, getting them engaged into the hobby. I honestly think the boom was probably the best thing that could have happened for Pokemon for that, is that it did hook a lot of younger kids. It did hook them where they have a memory or a nostalgia factor for Pokemon. Now, is it going to be strong enough to pull them back in? That is going to be the question when they get into their mid-20s. Are they going to continue to be excited about the hobby? Are they going to want to chase, even Sun and Moon, Scarlet and Violet, Sword and Shield products, cards, collectibles? That is going to be the one part that we really want to talk about and look at for the death of this hobby. Now, good news is I think that we have enough people that came in, enough adults my age that are millennials that now have our kids probably just as hooked as we are into it, that I think that it has a really good fighting chance to do really well, at least for another generation. I think we've extended it for one more generation for sure. We got at least 10 to 15 years. I think we have no problem with that. Even 20, I could see 20 at this point with the next generation. But then that next generation is going to have to get something or somehow hook their kids into it to continue moving it forward. And it'll happen quicker. I mean, the growth will continue to happen faster and faster because millennials were really the first generation with Pokemon. Some of, the early, Gen Z? So early Gen Zs would have maybe had some time in Pokemon when it was popular and big. And now you start creating that cycle to happen faster and faster and faster. And that's how we would see growth in this hobby too. More organic, stabilized growth versus just a star shoving people into the hobby and then having them all leave. So, and I like to see organic growth like what we saw in Sun and Moon going into Sword and Shield. It was very much an organic growth at that point.
I fully agree. They may have came, for the reasons of some of the boom and the pandemic and the nostalgia, but then they stayed and it brought more with them, I think, for the good times. And I was talking about that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that topic when we talk about TCG play in a minute, too. But, I would fully agree with you. the message to take away there is, all parents, make sure every gift you give your kids, every gift you go to that kid's birthday party, it's Pokemon. It's Pokemon. It's funny because that's actually what I do. So, like our neighborhood kids, they want to come by and they want to hang out, and say, okay, hey guys, we're going to play Pokemon.
Yep.
So, and now my son says, hey, can our neighbor come with us on Pokemon Friday? I say, okay. She can come with us. So the little neighbor comes and she gets Pokemon. Now she's got her own binder. Now she's collecting. she's going to tell 10 more kids. Yeah, yep. And we just keep it going. We keep it going. So we all have a responsibility here, people.
And even I've said, I personally want to help younger people get into the hobby. I try and do things, trade nights. I go to trade nights. I try and give kids cards. I mean, I give V cards. Mm-hmm. There's kids that are coming in. Their parents just bought them fake Pokemon cards off of, Amazon. They didn't know any better. They were just getting into Amazon, and they were all these fake cards. And I mean, I went back the next trade night because the kid was there, and he's kind of upset and sad because he couldn't really trade with anybody. Nobody would trade with him for fake cards. And, even there, I gave him a bunch of cards because it's like, I know something? That the overall potential gains of having more people involved would really outnumber anything I lost by giving that kid, 25 Vs and V Maxes and cards out of my collection. It really is a bigger thing. And then, the other thing I do, and I tell people, anybody that's doing box breaks and stuff with ETBs and use these tins are great to make little starter packs for kids. If you want kids that want to play, I just take those and then take like the guts from an ETB and put them inside of there with a V card. And I give them the people, new players at tournaments. I give it to my LCSs, and they give them the new players when they don't have their stuff. And they love it. They keep asking me to bring more because they love it, because they've got something for the kids. They don't have to buy an ETB to do it. It's free. It doesn't cost them anything. Once again, it's that little jump start, those little builder things that'll just keep people coming back. Because if you can stop frustration and people are happy, or, you give them something for free that gets them going, it's incentive for them to continue. And then they tend to have more happiness and more joy because, hey, this community isn't bad. They actually aren't a bunch of jerks just trying to make money. They actually care and want us to play and be involved into it. And that's a bigger factor or a bigger growth step than anything you can do in here.
I love it. You see, you got the foundations to build your brick and mortar already. It's right there. I hear you telling me. You're saying, Justin, what I want to do is open a brick and mortar. I'm just easing my way into it. I'm going slow.
I got to talk to Mason. That's what I need to do. I need to make a Cardinal Gaming Wisco.
That's right.
He can branch off, and I can manage it for him. There we go.
You can have a franchise, Mason, and then he'll open up a store.
I'll open one up in northern Wisconsin. You can come visit. Come up to the Great Lakes.
I love it. Yeah, he'll review your business, make sure you're making below profit margins. Hey, Pokey Kid, thanks for stopping by, buddy. Thanks for coming by, man. No worries. Brown CLM says, it will never die. Pokemon will never die. we traumatized the kids with the Moonbryon.
Fiasco.
Probably a little bit. Yeah, I keep my Halloween packs to give them away. And when we have Halloween now, I don't give away candy. I give away Pokemon cards.
I actually do reverse trick-or-treating, so I always go walk with my kids in town, and I take a bucket, and I give kids Pokemon, the boot packs when they go by. Oh, nice. So nice. I go backwards, and as I'm walking past kids, I give them to them. It's just little ideas, guys. I mean, it seems really simple, but it's all those things that you can do even locally that does a lot. It does a huge deal to actually do those little things.
It does. Yeah, when your Elvis plates take off, my friend, you let me know. I got all kinds of crazy stuff stored away from like 3 generations of my family. I'll be rich. I'll be filthy rich.
You'll be out of Pokemon. I'm done. My Elvis stuff took off.
Exactly.
Mason has left the building.
Question: should we bring back child labor so they can afford cards? Seems like the biggest hurdle here is kids are kind of broke. I don't think that's how that works.
No, I just have my kids sort cards. That's good for them. But they don't ask for Pokemon cards for a few days afterwards. I don't know why.
I think the child labor will be less money even than what they're making now. So yeah, I don't think that works that way, buddy. If we go back to just before we transition to the last point, one of the last things I want to ask you is when we think about the market, where we stand today, all the great products that are out there, what would be some of the top picks that you would think would be the best pickups at this moment in time in the market? I know that doesn't age well, but given today,
it doesn't always. But some of the best products right now are really Scarlet. A lot of the Scarlet and Violet products, I think, are really still, Paradox Rift. I think for sure, in my opinion, it's a for sure that if you were buying Paradox Rift right now at that $78, $80 booster boxes, guys, where are you going to go wrong in 2 years? I mean, that's once again, it's got a lot of good chase. Paradox or Paldean Fates, another one. Or not Paldean Fates. Paldea Evolved. There's the one I'm looking for. Paldea Evolved is just loaded full of good SIRs and IRs inside of it. There's some really good chases in there, really good artworks. Once again, the beginning artwork looks really good. Going back into Sword and Shield, there's still quite a bit of stuff that I think is really, really still being restricted a lot in the market. Football Pete's selling Lost Origins for 120, but if you look at the overall market on it, it keeps wanting to shove over that 145 mark, and we've seen it hit 160 and get drawn back. It's another one like with Chilling Reign. I feel that it's one of those things I've talked about already on my channel and on my live. I think once they're sold out on Pokemon Center, those are really being hampered right now by Pokemon Center still having product. Even though some people think they don't correlate, you're still not going to pay a ton over, the Pokemon, the MSRP price until it's completely gone at MSRP. So I'm really interested to see how those Sword and Shield sets are going to do. Brilliant Stars, Lost Origins, even Silver Tempest a little bit. I don't think they're Astral Radiance and Lost Origins or Silver Tempest. I think are going to be a little bit slower just because they don't have, Lost Origins has that fantastic trainer gallery in it. It's probably got the best trainer gallery out of all of them. Plus the Tina pushing that one. Yep. Brilliant Stars, You got the Charizard V, you've got the original trainer gallery in there, which is fairly decent, Alt-Art. And you've got the RCSR Alt-Art side of there. The Dialga Palkia, they're good. I mean, it's still going to be a chase, but as of yet, it still hasn't been a big chase comparatively to the other sets. And Lugia is still a good contender, but just not quite as strong as that Pikachu trainer gallery or that Charizard V. So overall, I think
those are nice.
Those are very nice cards, and they're going to be really hard to compete against overall futuristically.
Okay. All right. And I'm also, just to add maybe one thing to that, is I'm really curious to see, because we're in the very beginning of the Pokemon exclusive ETBs with the stamp promos. So that all just started in Scarlet and Violet, and I'm really curious to see how those turn out, from base up to now. So it's going to be fun.
It's going to be interesting to see how those continue to move on. I think the Pokemon Center ones are going to do really well.
I think so. Well, Mason says, I'm 35 and I still want shiny cardboard. Yep. Me too, buddy. Me too.
That's why we're all surrounded by it, Mason.
Exactly. That's why we're here stuck for 3 hours. This is great. I love the story. Kids come back to the house a year later and says, "Hey, do you still have Pokemon cards again this year?" That's right. Get them hooked early.
Yep.
We need multiple generations here. We got to support.
I'm not going to buy booster boxes now that they're cheap. Just give them actual booster packs. Upgrade.
That's right, man. That's right. And if you do the price, man, candy's going up. Booster box prices are going down. It kind of equals out, man. I mean,
I was going to say the price of candy this year. Holy cow! Bag of candy $6. It's like, holy crap.
My son was at the grocery store with me. We were having just a quick bite at like the hot bar. He goes, "Dad, did you see how much that candy cost? It was $499. I said, "I'm pretty sure there was a period between this." He says, "No, Dad, there's no period." I said, "Well, that's the most expensive candy I've ever seen in my life."
That better be the best candy I've ever had in my life.
We didn't buy it. He saw it on the shelf as we walked by.
Yeah. There's a gold bar in the center.
Maybe next year we can put Pokemon Go on the back.
That's affordable.
Yep. I think $1 something a pack. Yeah, not too bad. All right, my man. So we'll move over to TCG play, and then we'll hit some rapid fire. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right. So, I love it when I get the chance to talk TCG to somebody, because it's not often that, again, we get to have all of these experiences and skill sets under one roof. So I love that. Are you playing? I know you mentioned. I think was it Josh Old Card Shop's holiday drop in, perhaps, or maybe it was Basics, but one of those two that was happening within a couple of weeks of each other. You mentioned you were still playing a Lugia deck.
Yes.
And you needed to get it updated. So I was like, oh, okay, all right. So I got one of those too. I did update mine slightly with the Tyranitar. That got me out of the block that we lost a little bit because I was playing that in the last tournament. But what are you playing nowadays? What are you doing in terms of TCG play? I know you're busy. I know that's what you're going to say. I'm too busy.
Well, currently I'm still playing the Lugia deck when I go on the weekends.
Okay.
I'm currently in the process of trying to decide, and that's the problem is I'm kind of torn on which deck I want to go with for a build up. I want to possibly, I've got the cards mainly for a Charizard EX deck.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So I was looking at going to a Charizard EX deck upgrade for playability, but I've also been looking at potentially an Iron Hands deck. So I'm not quite sure which direction I want to go. So I'm kind of torn between those two currently. I've been wanting to try an Iron Hand. I might build them both just to maybe do some test trials on it, see which one performs better. And there's also for a standard Iron Hands deck, I'm seeing some because I'm using some interesting trainers, and there's actually two other trainers I'd like to try inside of there, trying to tweak it a little bit to maybe get the energies a little bit faster on it. There's a couple trainers that I might be able to amp that up and do that.
I see. I like how you're mentioning you got this mysterious set of trainers, but you don't want to tell me what they are. I get it. I get it. No worries.
I'm not telling anybody yet. I have friends that watch this stuff. I ain't telling them what I'm doing yet.
All right.
Hell, they'll do it before I do because they play every weekend.
Well, I challenged Chef to a Pokemon Live battle. I don't know if you play Pokemon Live, but if you play it online, I'll be happy to challenge you, but also in person. So we'll have to make that happen.
There you go. You go to any Collecticons this year?
Yeah, I'll definitely be at Charlotte, and then we'll see what happens from there. But me, Chef, and probably Orion Shires are gonna try to work out a little get together here in Charlotte. So if you can make it, we'd love to have you.
My plan is to try and be Charlotte and Chicago. I mean, I'm going to Chicago for sure just because it's so close. But Charlotte was the other one that I'm planning on going to currently.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect.
Let's catch up then. And I'll just kick your butt.
Get your deck ready. Yeah, we'll see. Buddy. We'll see. I am using Iron Hands right now. I'm playing a Rhydon, Iron Hands, and Regieleki deck, supplemented with Mareep and Flaffy to get my energies out. And I'm liking it. It's working pretty well. I did get stomped by a Charizard deck the other day, so I was like, okay, I got to rethink this a little bit.
Well, that's my concern with the Iron Hands deck. That's what I've been noticing is that the Charizard deck still seems to be able to ramp up faster than the Iron Hands. Yeah. It's too fast. So you got to find some way to get your energies and your trainers onto them cards faster. So I will send you a message with the trainers that I'm thinking of trying in the Iron Hands deck. All right. I'll do that in a DM. Private. That way you got an idea.
All right. Sounds good. All right, man. I love it. I love to talk a little bit TCG, man. I don't get to do it very often. So are you playing that right now? Are you going to try to work towards any tournament play for yourself, or you have any kind of generic
I probably
goals?
am not going to do tournament play just because I can't stay consistent enough. So they have just a weekly or a weekend open tournament over at our LCS, and then first tournament they do is like the Cup series or the actual point series. I don't know the difference. I haven't looked into the differences. We always just have Cup series, so where you get your points, and then they just have open tournament afterwards. So then anybody can just come in and play. There's no like tournament. It's not like a set. It's just anybody can come in and do that. So I go for that usually, and then I come in early and watch the tournament play, what's going on with that, and then I actually play in the open tournament. I don't have any plans on actually getting into anything where I might go regional or anything like that. It's just just for fun. Time and cards and everything. It's just it's not in the cards to do that. Jacob may possibly do something like that. If he ends up doing it, then I might get drawn into it just because he's doing it.
If you're going to be there, you might as well play. Yeah,
might as well play. If I'm going to end up going to all of them, I might as well play it. So that's probably what will end up happening if I end up doing that stuff. Is that I'll just end up going because he's going.
Okay. I love it, man. Oh. I hope he does. I hope to see him there. My son will start to play this year, so my older son, that is. And my younger son is just now starting to learn how to play at home. We took pretty much this last year. We played locally. We played it, like I said, I played at regionals, but we just played at home to kind of get our process in order, building decks, understanding how to lose, being a good sport, all those kind of things. So now that we got that down pat, now we're gonna go play in the real world. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, and that's hard, for younger kids. My daughter likes collecting cards. She doesn't have any interest in playing whatsoever. So she likes Ponyta and Rapidash.
Give me the shiny ones. Yeah.
Yep, they want the shiny ones. So that's fine. I mean, she likes being a collector, and that's just fine. Matthews, he's way too young to even. He just likes opening packs. He don't even know what anything's. Like I said, I call him the Charizard puller because he just every time he pulls the most expensive card out of there, and then he runs around the house with it. It's like, come back. No, don't throw.
At least put that in a semi-rigid, please.
Yeah, let's put that in. Yeah, please, top loader something. Stop running around with it like that.
Don't hold it in the corners. Yeah.
Well, he did that. We got first box of Pokemon 151. We got a 6-pack bundle when it came out.
Look at this one, Dad.
He pulls a Charizard. He's like, "Look, it's shiny!" And he goes running to show Mom, and I'm like, "That's expensive. Don't do it."
Yep, that's when you got a dad that's too far into the hobby. When the kids pull like really good cards, and he snatches it, jumps over the table, snatches it out of their hand, immediately sleeves it back in, puts it in the top loader, and then carefully hands it back. Say, "Here you go, son."
Hands it back to you. Do not bend this.
When you're done with this, I'm gonna need that back, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that in the binder, so don't break it. Put it in bubble wrap here.
Exactly. Oh, I love it. Oh, you were just catching up, Brown CLM? No worries. Yeah, we've been talking about you for a while. You've been dropping some good comments. I'm not sure how you missed an hour, but you've been sprinkled throughout the entire conversation. So kudos on the magic tricks there. One of the things I was curious, because my son's doing it to me now, is your son gotten to the point where he's beaten you yet in TCG?
No.
No? Not yet?
He hasn't gotten me yet. He's gotten close. I mean, it's come down to, once again, Pokemon still is partially a game of luck. So, he gets the cards that he needs faster, but he's still, it's just like he's still working on the strategy part of it for, understanding what all the cards do. It's a learning curve. Yeah. It's a lot easier in like Magic or... Yeah, it's easier in Magic and Flesh and Blood and stuff like that for, the strategy side of it. But it's definitely still what cards you pull, the order you pull them in, and then the strategy of how you play them to be sure that you maximize them. So he hasn't quite gotten that part factored out. It ain't going to be long, though. He's going to get me here.
Yeah, I've gotten a matter of time several times by my son. I'm like, okay. Let's play best two out of 3.
Well, like I said, he really didn't start playing until Obsidian Flame. So I've got a little bit of time. I don't know how long your son's been playing, so he's really been into it hard since Obsidian Flame.
Yeah, and I've had a bit more time. So I've had about probably an extra 6 or 7 months on you when it comes to time for my kid. Yeah.
That's what worries me. I think in that time frame he's gonna start getting me here shortly.
He's beating me. I'm like, how did that just happen? Like, I thought for sure I was going to win.
I had it all lined up.
I did. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll let him get this extra one. And like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. Good stuff, man. Well, if we look back to the comments we were making earlier, and we were talking about the growth of the hobby, the death of the hobby, a few things. One of the things I pointed out in one of my recent market recaps is how much we've seen grow in tournament numbers. People showing up, people playing TCG. I was curious, what did you see at your local LGS? Has that really grown for you in your region as well? Is it normal what you've always seen post or pre-pandemic, I should say? What's that growth look like, if any?
It's actually up quite a bit, even from post-pandemic. Post-pandemic, we used to have probably a group of about 7 to 10 people that would come on pretty consistently and play, back in Sun and Moon era, even early Sword and Shield stuff. During the pandemic, it actually really didn't grow as much as you would have thought for the beginning of the pandemic. Late like 2021, we started to see another, like, I want to say like that Evolving Skies time frame. I remember Evolving Skies all of a sudden had a lot of people, and then Fusion Strike and that we really had a really big growth at that point in time, from what I remember. It seemed like, once again, we had a lot of flippers, a lot of people just trying to make money, so that didn't necessarily, ingrain into the actual playability of these sets. And I think it took a little bit for some people to get down to that point. But currently, right now, we're still sitting at about 20 to 25 people in the Cup Series. So we're still about double of what we were post-pandemic, at least at our LCS. So that's really a good thing to see. I know one of the ones down in Eau Claire, I mean, they had to add in a whole wing to their building and do a big expansion in order to handle all the TCG playing. It wasn't just Pokemon. It was Magic. It was Flesh and Blood. It was DBZ. It was, all these different sets and Pokemon all included into it. So there was a big growth overall, for them down in the bigger city. So my town that I live in is only about 38,000 people, is the biggest town that's near me. And Eau Claire, of course, is like 200,000 people, so it's quite a bit bigger for a city. So they have a lot more opportunity for growth, but they had a huge growth down there. And even our LG, I mean, they doubled every TCG. They said right now is probably over double what they were post-pandemic.
And are you seeing, back to the point you were making about other TCGs, do you see Pokemon being number one? What does he talk about, he being the LGS owner? Is it now Disney? What's the distribution, you think?
The biggest numbers that he has is still in Magic and in Pokemon. He actually has a lot of D&D players too. So he said D&D is actually very popular at LGS,
really,
or LCS, whatever you. But yeah, they have really good turnouts on those three. They've seen a good uptick in Flesh and Blood. They said Flesh and Blood has been really going along pretty well overall. And even when I've gone there, because they have a Flesh and Blood tournament, so Saturday is really their tournament day. And they literally just go from one to the other. So you can almost come in there at they open up at 10 in the morning, and then they do like a Flesh and Blood tournament, and then they do a Pokemon tournament, starts at noon, and then at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock is like their regular tournament time for the open tournaments. So it's just a constant run for them on Saturdays, but even during the week, they've had really good luck overall with tournaments and growth and all the TCGs. So, but they pretty much said that those are really the Flesh and Blood, Magic, Pokemon, they are really been the real big ones that have seen the most growth, but they've all done really well overall for the ones that are active.
I'm glad to hear LGS is around the states of United States, that is growing and hopefully thriving to stay in business and can be around for a long time. Flipper ruined everything. They're mighty cute though. Hey, good to see you, Basic. I don't know if you've been lurking or just dropped in, but glad to have you, buddy. Thanks for stopping by, man. All right, man. Well, we're going to switch it over. You know what's next, my friend. You know what's next.
I'm ready.
Rapid fire questions. All right.
Let's do it.
So the first section, as you know, at least for now, is going to be PokeTuber. Name the PokeTuber or name somebody in the hobby around the Pokemon space. Okay. So I'll say a phrase. You name the person that comes to mind. Someone that excites you most about this hobby.
Someone that excites me the most about the hobby. Where's I like to get the most information from is actually Pokemon knowledge. I like his content and his breakdowns of things. His rants. I really do like his open forum on that. Okay,
good. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Best individual to have in a chat in your life.
Best individual to have is a toss-up between Mr. Walrus and Mason. Nice. They make the chat fun. Both of them do.
They sure do. They sure do. Fully agree. Next PokeTuber to break 1 million subs.
Next PokeTuber, Danny Phantom.
Yep, he's getting close. I think he hit 700. I think it was.
I think he's only at. Well, I was gonna say Deep Pocket Monsters. I don't even know.
It was deep. Yeah, it was deep. Yeah.
Deep Pocket Monsters is probably what I'm thinking. Yeah, Deep Pocket Monsters is probably gonna be the next one to 1 million. Yeah. Danny Phantom's making a good push though, but he's got really good information too.
He does. All right. Best investment channel. I think you've already said it based on your answer before last, but we're going to let you give another one just in case. Best investment channel.
Best investment channel?
Yes. You can't
for
say
best
yourself.
No, I know that. I don't think I'm the best investment channel. So, overall best investment channel, the one that I find really actually informative is Danny Phantom. To be honest with you,
Okay.
if you're looking for information for where you want to invest and what you want to see going on in the markets currently, to me, he's a really good resource for investment channels. So he's really good for that insight for where things are going. And he's another one. He's a TCG player, our TCG player. He's been playing Pokemon, so he understands, the smaller parts of it.
Yeah, fully agree. Yeah, he's deep into the TCG play as well.
Mm-hmm.
Someone you watch, but you don't hear many people talk about that you would like to call out or give the shout out to that you just doesn't get enough recognition.
Pokeots.
Pokeots, yes. Okay, I know who that is. Yep. Okay.
I don't hear much of him in the community. I don't hear much people talking about him. But he's not from the United States, but he still has some very good information and insight overall.
Yeah. What was it? Australia, I think.
He's Australia.
Yep. Yeah, I thought so. Someone you were more impressed with when you met them in person.
That's tough because I haven't gone anywhere to meet anybody in person.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Okay.
Every time that we've had a meeting where we're going to a Collecticon or something, it's always right in the middle of harvest or silage season, so I never ever make them out to them. That and they're always so far away, so I always got to fly. They're always a far enough distance. Chicago's the first one that's actually within a reasonable distance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm going to Chicago for sure. And then, like I said, I plan on going to North Carolina this year, Charlotte. So
we hope
I want to get to 2 of them. I'm going to 2 of them this year, no matter what.
All right, we'll make this one easier then. Best hair in the hobby.
Best hair in the hobby.
Yep, got to throw you for a loop, man. Go for it.
I want to. The funny as it is, I'm gonna go goofy with this and Possum Bud because he always has it like.
Okay.
It's always depending on the day. Some days it's trained, sometimes just all over the. It's like he just came out of bed and here he is.
All right, I'll take that one. PokeTuber that you admire the most.
The one that I admire the most is it's a toss-up, but it's actually probably Jake from Pokenomics. I actually miss his content on YouTube quite a bit.
Yeah.
Once again, that more down-to-earth, very insightful, very thought-out when it came down to the discussion point.
Yeah. I definitely call this one out here. J-Love does have some nice hair. Yeah, I got to agree with you there.
Yeah, that's true. I always forget about J-Love for some reason. I always just catch his videos every now and then. It's not like a comment, and I don't spend a lot of time on his videos for whatever reason.
They drop at different times, I think is what it is. Yeah.
That's probably what it is.
Has the best hair? I don't know. I haven't. I got to think about that. I got to go back to the video and see Walrus's hair. Yeah, good beard. Good beard, but I don't know. The hair didn't pop out. I got to think about it. Someone who pushes you to do better.
It's got to be a PokeTuber?
Yeah, like within your space that inspires you to do better. It's like pushing you to grow, improve.
Probably one person that probably pushes me the most to do better in the space that I really try and keep up with is Eli from Pokemart USA. I think his information, he's been killing it, and he does really good, and I really would like to step it up a little bit to be more competitive with him.
Yeah. Good. I like that answer. Someone you would donate your collection and inventory to if you had to give it up.
Mason.
Nice. That was a quick answer too. Someone that will outlast all of us on YouTube.
Ooh, someone that outlasts all of us on YouTube out of our space. I think the one person I could see staying around for a really long time with no problem. Once again, it's going to be Danny Phantom. He just continues to do what he does. He has really good information. Overall, I think that he's probably got the opportunity for the most longevity because of what he does.
Okay, all right. Mason, politely declines your offer. He has enough bulk.
I have enough bulk. Yeah, Mason just said Danny's a machine. He really is, and I can see longevity-wise. I think he's got it.
Us all. Okay. Yeah. The next one you feel that will leave, whether it be announced or silently.
It will just come off the space.
Yeah, just stop making videos and just fall off.
That's a tough one. If you had asked me this a year ago, it would have been a lot easier. Now I think a lot of us are here for the long haul at this point. What Basic just said LP. Who's LP?
I don't know.
Don't know. Probably if I had to put it on anybody that would silently disappear off the space. Yeah, to be honest, I think he's having too much fun, but I could see Dan from Catch 'em All Collections
pulling out, retiring, moving to the next.
I don't think he won't retire from doing it, but I could see him doing less and less on YouTube.
Yeah,
as he gets busier and busier on his other stuff.
Walrus says, "We're here forever. All my friends are in the computer."
Are in the computer. They're all in my little box. I can't leave.
For sure, yeah. We hope no one leaves. Yeah. All right.
Chef, he's one promo away from it.
That's good.
I'm not saying Dan's planning on it, but out of all the people right now in my group that I know of, he would be the one that I could just see slowly. You'd see less and less content from him over time.
All right. I hope not, but I could definitely see your perspective. Has the best connections in the hobby?
Rusty at TCA Gaming.
Who you will think will have the most successful business in 2024?
Most successful business. Now I feel like I'm trapped because there's someone in this thing that will probably come through the screen and beat me if I don't say his name. I honestly think it would be between Mason and Pokemart USA. I think both of them are pretty well posed. One on the online and his LGS, and then Mason is posed with his double store threat. So I think both of them have really good potential to do really well the next year.
All right. Good. I hope so. We'll see them battle it out live. We'll switch over to generic topics now. So much like the same, just again, I'll pose a question, answer it just a few words, the best you can. What's the most fun you have in the hobby? Ripping packs, selling, playing, TCG, or buying? Where do you sit?
Playing. I absolutely love playing the game, playing with other people. I know.
I'm trying to get back to get even.
Mason, in business, isn't that successful when you break even? That's what we all thrive to do. I know that's the goal, man. That's success.
Right. With the right tax, equations, then you're basically made nothing.
Exactly.
Perfect.
You're zero. You win.
Father-son secret that you've had recently, but your wife doesn't know.
Oh, you're gonna get me shot. I think she probably will never watch this.
Well, we're 2 hours and 30 minutes in.
Yeah, she ain't out there, but she's probably listening through the floorboards above me, right? The stethoscope. Biggest secret we got right between the two of us right now is
you and Jacob.
That we purchased an expensive card at the LCS the last time we were there.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not going to get into too many details because then she'll start really getting... Enough.
percent of distribution between the want for Pokemon to survive versus the true belief that it will survive?
Probably 10% it won't, 90 it will.
Okay.
90-10.
One of your best attributes as a person.
Probably my worst one too is my ADHD. It allows me to hyper focus on a lot of stuff. Trust me.
Oh, so you weren't joking? You actually have ADHD?
Oh, I guarantee I have ADHD. I've never been diagnosed, but yeah, my brain is just so wired. My mom even says that I was just never diagnosed, but for sure, just my attitude and the way that I am. Plus, my lack of sleep and my inattentive to be able to, I can hyper focus on things, or I can lose attention on everything really fast. So it's just I've learned to harness it. And I put it towards good, but it's a hindrance and a strength if you know how to use it.
All right. Yeah, much like Brian at Pokeani. Shout out to Brian. He had his 10-year anniversary yesterday, I think it was. So congrats out there, Brian, for your 10-year anniversary, buddy. Best era of Pokemon.
Best era of Pokemon. I would say for me personally, just because I love them so much, Gold Star. I do like the Pokemon EX. I know a lot of people say it sucks, but I do like the Gold Star era in there. But the Neo is really good too. I really enjoyed the Neo era also. Neo would probably be number one. Gold Star would be number two for me. So EX era would be number two. Original EX. The original.
Right.
Not the new.
That's the little EX, right? Yeah, little EX.
Little EX. The original little EX was... That was, yeah. But I like Neo. Neo's probably my favorite one. I did like the Neo Genesis in that area.
Yeah. Beautiful sets, man. I love those cards.
Mm-hmm.
Something special about those.
Destiny was always really fun set.
Something you regret you did in 2023.
I don't regret.
Okay.
I just don't. There's nothing.
Just forget.
Just forget. It's just if you sit there and regret all the time, then it just slows you down. So I mean, no, there really isn't much that I would honestly say I regret.
I gotta make that a T-shirt. Don't regret, just forget. I love it. That's perfect. All right. The goal you should have set for yourself in 2024, but you didn't.
The goal I should have set for myself. Ooh. Goal that I should, you mean in 2023 or 2024? Like upcoming year?
24. Yeah, this year. Because I know you've already set some goals for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
But the ones you didn't set but should have.
Probably the one that I was considering that I maybe should have or maybe shouldn't have is work more on my actual content. I should really look at putting more time and more into the viewing and the actual aesthetics of it, but still haven't set it as a goal to make the content the most major priority.
Okay. All right. We'll take one from the audience here. I think we got one from Brown CLM. What set would the future generation be most interested in?
Honestly, it's Sword and Shield, and just because of the persona that's around it. Plus, it does have really good artwork. This beginning era of Scarlet Violet, though, too, it's hard to say that because
it's killed it.
I mean, Scarlet and Violet's killing it right now too, and we don't know where that's going to go. But currently, it would be Sword and Shield for a full era.
What about a set though?
The actual set.
Yeah.
Oh, you want a specific set? I go back to Evolving Skies. If it wasn't for value and it wasn't for trying to make money, Evolving Skies just has a lot to offer for everybody in general. I mean, it really is a really goated set for multiple genres. So except for Charizard fans. We're sorry, Charizard fans. You're out on that one.
Speaking of fans, man collects Flareon. He stared in the eyes of regret for 25 years. It's moving into its soul.
No regrets. I have no regrets, Mr. Walrus.
Just forgets. Best vacation you've ever had and why?
Ooh, best vacation that I've ever had is probably when my wife and I went on our honeymoon in the Caribbean. So we went on a cruise to the Caribbean for our honeymoon. So that's probably the best vacation that I've had.
Very nice. Yeah, I've been there before. It's a fun cruise. Who was it I was listening to? Oh, it was Pokevault. He's talking about he went on a cruise and he got very gluttonous, and the amount of food and everything you can have on the cruise is like,
no.
My god. Talking about easy gaining 10 pounds. That's where you can do it right there. Favorite hobby outside of Pokemon?
Favorite hobby outside of Pokemon is probably the one that I like to do the most outside of Pokemon is actually doing our animals. I like doing the hobby farm, having the different animals and working with them. So that's I said it's a hobby farm, so it's just fun to do and trying different things and having fun.
I like that. Yeah, connecting with the nature a little bit there. The next Pokemon they should promote other than Charizard. So who should take the crown and move forward as a pinnacle, and they should really just focus on this next Pokemon. It doesn't have to be a new one. It can be an old one.
I've said it before, and I honestly think that if you're going to do it, evolutions. I can't just put it on one. But
okay,
I think that Evolving Skies and Sword and Shield really did prove that there is a big market for evolutions moving forward.
Okay.
Oddish
like a whole trio.
I'm really hoping that they come up with some new ones. There are a lot of opportunities for new evolutions.
Oh, new evolutions. Yeah, I saw what Danny made a post about it, I think on Instagram. Yeah, I saw it today. Yep. But could they make a new, evolution? It's been a while, 10 years, I think he said. It's been 10 years.
It's been 10 years since Sylveon came out?
I think that's what he said. Don't quote me on that.
It could be close because I try to remember. I think Sylveon. I don't remember if Sylveon was black and white or if that was XY. But even XY would be, if it was early XY, it would be 10 years.
Yeah. Yep.
It's hard to believe already that early XY would have been the first year would be 10 years now. So yeah. I mean it could be.
Relaunch the evolution line. Yeah, with the new one.
Okay, so Walrus just said it was XY. So XY, I thought Sylveon came in XY. So
the Green Shiz dropped in. Hey, buddy.
Hey,
thanks for stopping by, friend. Love the CGC video, man. Good stuff. Beard's looking fresh. Beard's looking fresh. Nice and Santa Clausy. Not with the white, but the puppiness. I like it. All right, man. Let's move over to the personal side, and we'll touch the hearts of many here. So we all know the quotes. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. From G. Michael Hopoff. When we think about that line and we translate that to us being parents, it's a difficult task raising children, trying to create a better life for them. Give them a better life than we typically had growing up. And in doing that, it's such a trapezius act to try to walk that tightrope and make sure that we don't, to our earlier point on, give them too much Pokemon and let them open up things too frivolously, to make sure that they actually have a desire. They create that willpower. They have the drive to then be a great person, contribute to society, and obviously move down to pass it on to the next generation. So how have you, now with 3 children of your own, navigated this path and tried to make sure that we create, strong people for the next generations? What's been some of your key kind of takeaways in fatherhood?
Key takeaways is the same thing like my parents always did. There's a point in where your kids need to work and they need to be involved and they need to do things in order to be able to get what they want. I have no problem giving even my kids things that they want, but they have to work for it. We have a farm, we have businesses, we've got things that they can do in order to be able to do so, and they are required to do those things in order to, get what they want. I am a strong promoter that, work ethic is huge. It's something that I feel has been lacking a lot in society in general in the last few years and the last generation. I don't think it's necessarily even just the work ethic. It's just people don't push anybody any longer because they're too afraid of the repercussions on them for doing so. And overall, I don't want my kids to feel like they can't be pushed. And I think it's good for people, even myself, to be pushed to do things more and better and more efficient and finding ways to do those things. And I give the same opportunity to my kids, whether it's cleaning the barn, taking care of the animals. You know, with the farm, we do have a lot of opportunities for them to have learning experiences on responsibility. And that's being used heavily for them to be able to get the things that they desire. And I think that that's exactly what you should be looking at when it comes down to it.
Great. I love that. Instilling that in them, just like, our grandfathers and fathers did for us. It was very important. I've told my story many a time, so I won't tell it again. But yeah, I had to work for my Ninja Turtles which was the thing that I wanted when I was a kid. Yeah, I had to work hard for it.
I had to work a lot of farm hours and a lot of business hours in order to be able to get the things that I wanted. It was never given to me, either that or it's grades too. I always had to have, good enough grades at school. I was always pushed if I wanted things. I wasn't going to get a Nintendo 64 unless I had good grades and I put in the time. Trust me, it was never given.
Well, and we couldn't even afford it really. So I mean, part of that, it was also buying time for us to try to save the money.
Yeah.
We didn't have much growing up. We were actually growing up, for me, and it may sound strange to some of you that are a little bit younger, but we didn't have a TV for the longest time. When I did get a TV, it was the TV with the 3 dials you had to turn with rabbit ears. We had no cable. All my friends at this time, they had cable television. They had Nintendos and Sega Genesis. Those were all obviously out at that time. PlayStation wasn't out yet. And, I'm still sitting here, trying to turn the dial and get in like 2 or 3 channels to watch, Ninja Turtles on a Saturday morning. And so it was, we just didn't have much. But it was good, though. We had a good life. And I made the most of it. So, collecting all those nails to earn my Ninja Turtles was more of like a journey. And it was a good time. It builds something in you, So keeping the same theme and thinking about this now from the perspective of running your business, or businesses, all 3 plus. I talk about this a lot on different podcasts, but it also is very applicable here. How do you find the balance to run all these businesses, keep them above ground, successful, maintain your family, but then also give them the family time and that personal one-on-one, whether it's just with your wife and date night outs, or it's sitting down with the kids and doing something fun that they want to do? How do you find that balance, and how do you kind of make that throughout the evolution of your businesses?
So it's always a balancing act, no matter what you do, especially. And the one thing is, like we talk about, your significant other definitely has to understand that lifestyle. And, my wife has always been really understanding of that, to that fact. There are sacrifices that are going to be made, especially running an actual service business. But there are times where it reverses too, and where I get extra time due to the season. So there is a give and take on that. Overall, I always try to commit family time. So when I get home from work, typically right around 5:30, I usually commit until the kids go to bed. That's why even like Choose Your Path lives, things like that, are always a little bit later for me. They always start at least 8 o'clock because that's when the kids usually go to bed. So I always commit that time. And then on the weekends, I usually always commit at least one day, whether it's Saturday. Typically, it's Saturday is the best day because it's right there. It's between things, and then we always commit a day to just being with the family. I don't do anything unless, I'm on call that weekend, which happens once every 4. So it's not like it's a huge detriment there either. So overall, I mean, it is a balancing act. The other fact that's really good for me is I don't sleep. So there's always that benefit too, is that my wife goes to bed at like 11 o'clock and I keep going until, that's when I usually do my editing and do my, videos and things like that, and get edited, or usually about this time I'm usually starting to come down and do these things. So that's a good factor too, because then I run in about 4 to 5 hours of sleep, so it's not that hard for me to keep filling that gap with those kind of things. So yeah, it is difficult. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done, but it is a balancing act. But I always try to make sure that every day I'm with the kids, they see me, I make their stuff at school. I take the time off of work to go, to their school events, even their sporting stuff. I go to all my kids' games.
Right.
It's something my dad never did being in business, that he wasn't the type of person that was ever at any of our school events or basketball games or football games or anything like that, unless it was family night. So I've tried to make that commitment to at least give that to my kids. I think that it's good for them to see that their dad's involved and there if they need them, and to see them do, being successful what they're doing.
Right. I love that. Do you think you've managed to strike that balance, and the kids, when they get older will remember and say, Dad was always there when we needed him? Or do you think they're going to remember and say, Dad was always working?
I hope that they think that I'm there. Like I said, I do know my dad was always working. I mean, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents just because of that. And, he was very much business oriented back in, the late 80s and the 90s. You had to. You didn't have cell phones. You didn't have the technology that we even have now to simplify and be more efficient at jobs that we do. So, it was just the times, and that he's the baby boomer generation, and his mentality is that I work and I work and I work, and my wife takes care of the kids, or my parents take care of my kids, and we just keep pushing through. And I don't want to be that parent. I've always wanted to at least be involved when invisible for my kids and know that I'm there to support them. So I hope that they see that, and I hope that I can show that to them, that they are seeing it. I mean, that's the bigger thing.
Yeah, I had a time period where it was at the height of my career in my normal job, and I was traveling around the world, and it was a lot. We had just done a divestiture, so we were setting up a new business, and I was going from one country to the next. We were basically turning over a new business in each country, and I would go that weekend, stand it up, go to the next one the next weekend. And I had just had my first son, and so I basically left shortly after he was born, within a year, let's say. And I remember it when I got back, just fast forward a year and a half later, we were doing things, and I was told that, Daddy's always working. Daddy can't be here. And I was like, oh, man, that hurts. Yeah. That hurts. And as he got older, I said, okay, I'm making changes. I want to be home more. If he wants me to be able to do certain things, I want to be there for him. So made those travel arrangement changes, some career changes, so that we can be there and make sure we have those family moments. So glad to hear you've struck what sounds like a great balance.
Yeah, and it's hard. I mean, sometimes, especially in a service business, we have emergencies. We have things that push us through. But, in general, I try to set boundaries, and I try to be sure that I give what's necessary. So that like I said, I want to be sure my kids think that I'm there. I don't want to hear, like you said, you don't want to hear that, that story like you're just talking about, where Daddy's always working. He's not available to do this.
Right.
I want to be able to come home, and they're coming home from school, and I'm home from work, and we can go outside and play catch, or we can go outside and do stuff, around the place, and they know I will do it. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like I'm not available for those things. Exactly.
I love it. Yeah, chef's life. Apparently, we're living the chef's life. We'll move it to one of the last topics, and we'll bring it to a close, my friend. It's been a great conversation. Thoroughly enjoyed it. We talked about, ironically, it's been dropping throughout the comments of today's live, and that is the love and appreciation for our significant others. And I mentioned Pokey Indy's anniversary recently, yesterday, I believe it was. But tell us and expand a bit more on how your wife has really been able to help you be successful and support you through this journey, and kind of give her the credit that I'm sure is already due.
She's just been really understanding. I mean, the one thing is that, a lot of other PokeTubers have listened to them talk about this even on here. And, the fact is that you find a partner, and, you work with that partner. There are, of course, gives and takes in everything that we do. And she understands that, I'm here to support her. I support her as much as I can in everything she does. And she tries to do the same back to me. She trusts that I'm making good decisions. She has a lot of faith that I'm, following through and being as successful as I'm telling her. I mean, like she said, she doesn't know if I am or not, but, there is that trust factor that what we're doing and what we're performing is, in good faith of being, with them. My wife is very, very understanding, knowing that I took $4,000 out of our savings account back in 2019 to buy Pokemon cards. And, she gave me the dumbfounded look, which is like, what are you doing and why? And explaining to her your purpose. And she just goes, well, I trust you. It's not a big deal. We've got the money, so go ahead and do what you want. But once again, there is also the factor that we have as what I do. And I'm so busy and I'm always doing things that I always have to make time for her. And, we always take time out. We go to dinner. We have date night. We definitely get away from the kids sometimes just because you have to do that to get a de-stressor. And, even when we go to Charlotte and Chicago, I think she's going to come with just as a trip with each other and spend some time together out away from the kids. We're going to leave the kids with the grandparents and go relax and spend time with. And once again, she's willing to do things like that and come to these events. It's not like it's just me going and she goes, oh, this stuff sucks, you go. No, she's absolutely willing to come and spend the time, with me, meeting people that she has no knowledge of whatsoever and still come and do it. So, no, you can't. I don't think that anybody that has a significant other in this hobby currently can give that significant other enough praise for the amount of crap they put up with from us and our endeavors and what we're doing. That's probably more money than they could ever really imagine sometimes.
Yeah, on shiny cardboard, as we always say.
Yeah, they're spending a lot of money on some shiny cardboard.
I think it won't be mind if I talk about DeGreen Shiz there, because he brought his wife to Charlotte. I think that was the first one she went to, and he said she loved it, man. Had a blast. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she got to host the tables, do some sales. He got to walk the floor. They went out afterwards and enjoyed it with all the other people. It was a good time. So I think your wife sounds like she'd probably enjoy the same. So hope to see her in Charlotte.
That's what I told her. I said, there's other spouses there. There's other significant others that if you're bored, I'm sure that you can find something to do. I'm not planning on selling on any of them. So that's a good thing, is it just gives me that free space to be able to go meet and talk to people. Okay. And
I'm just going to walk around. Okay.
Walk around. I sell at some of the local ones, but I'm not intending on going down to the Collecticons. So I'm just going to meet, people I've never met before and, walk around and talk to people and introduce and not have to worry about who's watching the table and if I'm making enough sales to cover the cost.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, unfortunately, it sounds like we can't trust Chef. He steals steaks, but that's okay. It's only ribeyes, so that's all right. We don't have to worry about it too much. But if it was New York strips, we'd be a different concern. Different concern. He said, you don't have to be honest with your spouse if you're trusted. I don't think
that's how you don't have a spouse. That's how you don't have a spouse.
Oh, Dan brought his wife too? And Ponga? I didn't know that. Because I didn't see Dan's wife or Ponga's wife when I went to the table. So, fair enough. Good stuff. Anyone from the UK? I don't think so, Nostalgia Lad. Not looking at the list. I think a lot of them here are in the US. But if anybody is from the UK or still is in the UK, feel free to shout out in the chat, guys. So we'll move it into the last and last two, that is. So, there are many starting families, advancing their careers, creating new businesses, and all the alike. And yet life passes by before you know it. And in the blinking of an eye, we're all gone. What would you advise these individuals to make the most of their life during this perplexing journey and to not forget what's most important?
Don't put money in front of family. That would be the number one thing that I would say. There's always an opportunity to make more money tomorrow. There's not necessarily your family going to be there tomorrow. So, like you just said, everybody's life is limited. We don't know when someone's going to be gone, and, it could happen in an instant. So if your family needs you, you need to do something with your family, whether it's your direct family, your parents, your, aunts, uncles, whatever. Take the opportunity. There's always tomorrow to make money. I can make more money tomorrow. I can't necessarily see everybody tomorrow. And that's a big thing that I've learned over the last 40 years, 38 years, is that, you're never guaranteed tomorrow, and money is always there. There's always opportunities to make money. There's always opportunities to make more and do things to make more. Make sure you have your priorities straight, and that it's based on things that you may not be able to get more of.
I love it. I love it. Great answer, man. Yeah, and I would just add to that and say that when we're in the height of our careers and we're trying to get that next promotion, we're trying to move through and up the company ladder, whatever it may be, that's often where many of us get lost. So those are the key moments and I speak from my own experience there. Those are the key moments not to forget that the people around you is way more important. That's why you're doing it all for. I reread this, Walrus. Yeah, I get it now. Sorry, I misspoke earlier. Yeah, no comment. I did meet both of them then. I get it.
And Walrus, I'm not 40. I'm 38. And yes, Basic, I am older than you. You're not the oldest person in the chats.
No, I'm 42, guys. I think I still got you all beat.
See, there's always someone older than you out here swimming around.
42, buddy. 42. All right, man. You know it's coming. I know you've thought about it. What legacy do you want to leave in the hobby when you're gone?
Biggest legacy that I want to leave in the hobby that I would really hope for is just the fact that the knowledge that I can leave for people. Building a channel or a successful area where people can get knowledge to better themselves. That is truly the one thing that I would hope would be the one legacy that I could leave. That if someone were to talk, 10 years down the road about me, that would be the thing that would come up, is that, yeah, he did that Choose Your Path series that helped, even 10 years down the road, this helped me, make a decision of what I would be more interested in, or, sit there and have that kind of legacy to where you're more helpful than stand outish, even more helpful than, arrogant and those kind of things. That, everybody has streaks of where they can become arrogant. They can become overshadowed by fame and fortune and all those other things. And I don't ever want to become that way. I don't want to ever be perceived as that. I just want to be able to be here to help and grow the community a little bit more. If I can grow just a little bit, one more step, it's a big step.
I like it, man. We, as long as we can help make the day, the week, and the month better than we found it, then that, of course, leaves it better for the next person, right? I love it.
Oh, Father. P-Tag versus V-Tag.
I am lost. Don't know.
Are we talking about working on them, or are you talking about for usage?
We went into the HVAC talk.
I hate P-TAC units to work on them. I worked on a P-TAC unit today, and I was about ready to kick the thing through the wall.
So there's your answer. VTAC all day long. I appreciate it, Shadowless Jack. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out. We ran it again about another 3 hours. As I said just a minute ago, it's been a great conversation.
Absolutely.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Weaved in as best I could a lot of the conversation here from the chat, as I always try, and really appreciate all of you staying with us. Again, thanks, Rob, for the 5 gifted. Much appreciated. If you don't have the links for the stores, the Instagrams, the TikToks, I'll make sure that I get that updated if I don't already have it in the description for NorthwoodsTCG. So make sure you check those out. And of course, we'll look forward to seeing everybody on the next one. And in the meantime, have a great day. Make somebody else smile. And we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Have a good one.